This week, I learned that if you don't have $16 million to spend on a Pokemon card, you're poor and you're mad. We're going to talk about why that might be the case in this episode of The Ungraded Truth coming up next. Detective Comics set a record for 1.8 million. Nobody really cares.
Who are annoyed that people are asking them questions, is this book banned? That question didn't exist a year ago.
Somebody's submitting like 25 vintage books and getting 15 9.9s.
We always think, how could it ever get crazier? And then it always does.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the #1 collectible show in the universe, The Ungraded Truth. I am Swaggle joined by the esteemed gentlemen that you see before you, Neo, Rob, Cards and Comics, Neo Cards and Comics, Rob. I messed up your name. We got Manu at the 99 Newsstand, and we got Ryan, Automatic Comics. Gentlemen, how are you doing today? We got lots to talk about.
Well, for anybody that watched the video I put out today, yes, I filmed that today. That is why I'm wearing the same shirt. am not like continuing to wear the same shirt across multiple days.
This guy doesn't even change his clothes. He keeps the same clothes on. You know, that's a little funny thing, like insider content creation thing here. Sometimes I will just wear the same black shirt and just film a couple of videos in a row. And then I realize that when I post them, people think like, oh, Mickey wears the same clothes every time he does videos.
I have changed shirts before between filmings when I've done that, just so it doesn't look like I'm filming all back to back.
I wear the same thing almost every day, black hoodies and black hats. So I have a uniform, and I know this is just really interesting content at the beginning of the episode for our audience. I hope everyone's eating this up.
Yeah,
I just need us to keep this short tonight because I need to leave early because I have a part-time job.
So because we're poor. No, dude, we're as far as
I don't want to be poor. That's why I got a part-time job working midnights.
Well, here's the thing. We're not going to be poor for long. Okay. One day we might be able to have a stylist that can give us clothes for our wardrobe when we are on screen, because guys, the Ungraded Truth channel, we are growing. Like, we are just exponentially growing our numbers. You know, last week on the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel, we were at 1,150 subscribers. Now we're at 1,170 subscribers, an increase of 1,000,000%. We just had our highest viewed video posted, a clip out from last week's show talking about One Piece. We might be One Piece influencers. That's kind of where this show is going very soon.
What are the views? What's the highest look at this.
We got 934 views
on the Ungraded Truth channel. I got
yes.
Very nice.
I mean, that's almost 1-to-1 view to subscriber. Like those rates are unheard of.
That's what happens when you put Nami on a thumbnail.
Exactly. That's a pretty great ratio. And on top of that, you know, guys, if you want to subscribe to the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel, link is in the description. But also, if you go over here, you can find the Spotify link as well. Because yes, we are also on Spotify. And last week's show, we were at 6 5-star ratings. We were hoping that we could grow, more than that. We got to 13 5-star ratings within the last 2 weeks. Guys, we are killing it on Spotify. I mean, look at our audience, digging into the analytics here. I mean, sure, we have a big United States, audience here, some Canada, but we're global, guys. Look at this: New Zealand, United Kingdom, Finland, Australia, Portugal, Switzerland, Italy, Spain, Ireland, Netherlands, Poland, Iran, and even Russia. They love us over there in the East. So you want to head over to the Spotify. I mean, what do you think about that, guys?
Shout out to the Switzerland people.
Shout out to Switzerland. Absolutely.
I need to get to New Zealand sometime, and apparently we're huge over there. So
yeah. I bet you they're not poor.
AJ Curated, what up? He says, what's up from Canada? We got some great friends in the chat tonight. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here with us.
Yeah, thank you for everyone for joining us on the stream tonight. Again, The Ungraded Truth is a co-stream across all of our various channels and platforms. So if you're watching on Neo's channel or over on his X or on Ryan's channel or on my channel, be sure to hop into the description, give everyone else a follow, a like, a subscribe, all those good things, and give Manu a follow on Instagram as well, because these guys are great. That's why we do a show with them, because they have amazing things to say. And it's good to, subscribe to all their various channels. But gentlemen, we have a huge show tonight. We're not going to bury the lead anymore. We're going to talk about the Logan Paul Pikachu card that sold. We're going to talk about the epic Ken Goldin crash out. That was maybe one of the more interesting things to come out of that sale. Yeah. We have the Dork FOMO to discuss. We have market manipulation. We have all types of things to do tonight. But the first thing, of course, that we have to do is get everyone caught up to speed in case they didn't see that just a week and a half ago, we had the sale of Logan Paul's Pikachu Illustrator card in a PSA 10 going for $16,492,000. This being the most expensive trading card that has ever been sold in the history of the world. It is also actually, I think, one of the most expensive collectibles that has ever been sold, as you guys can see from the Guinness World Records presenting this trophy to Logan Paul after the sale. Guys, they did a live stream. It was a huge event. They were on Logan Paul's YouTube channel. Obviously, a lot of craziness. They did the box breaking, pulling cards. People bought into this. It was a massive success if you are somebody that was involved in the sale, like Logan Paul or Ken Goldin. AJ Scaramucci, son of Anthony Scaramucci, was the buyer of the Pikachu card, who also launched some kind of new company after this case. And it was really interesting because what we witnessed last time, or what we witnessed when they were doing this auction, was probably the craziest marketing event that we have ever seen in the history of collectibles. We're going to talk about the fallout that came from this, with all the conversation around the controversy and all the conversation around Ken Goldin's crash out. But let's kind of just start with what your guys' initial reaction to the sale was. I know, Rob, you made a video about it, talking about what this means for the hobby, what it doesn't mean for the hobby. Maybe you can kind of recap your thoughts, and we can kind of go around the panel and hear what you guys had to say about it.
I think the biggest takeaway is that the high end is basically, at least in cards, maybe not so much for comics, but for cards, every high end sale is essentially just a marketing event. And it's more corporations / entities buying these things than actual collectors. Once again, that feels more so in the card space than the comic book space. Like, we've had literally Dick's Sporting Goods spending, $1 million plus on a Paul Skeens card display in their stores. And now, like you mentioned, off the backs of this, we have Logan Paul launching a new company the same night that this thing broke a breaking platform. We had AJ announcing whatever treasure trove is going to be, which we really don't know yet. The box break that they did, the individual packs, most of the packs that they opened, if not all of them, were basically sponsored ad reads because it was companies that bought them. Mm-hmm. So the entire thing was basically just a dog and pony show for marketing / exposure. How it impacts everyday collectors, there could be a trickle-down effect because this did get a lot of coverage on mainstream news and things like that. And I had a lot of people in various comments and DMs just mentioning, like, oh, people that never talk about collectibles were know that I'm in collectibles and were randomly asking me about Pokemon cards, or, oh, wait, like, this is worth that much money? Seriously?
So I had a question for you on that. So yeah. In comics, we always joke about the 90s comics and everything, where like when people hear about this stuff, they're like, oh, I got comics and these things are 30 years old. They must be worth a fortune. Is there an equivalent on the card side where people, like, when they hear about a big sale and they go check, yeah. It's like, is there like a junk era equivalent that you often see for cards?
Yeah. 90s, late 80s, early 90s junk wax is the go-to.
It's mostly sports. There's not much in terms
because if you have 30-year-old Pokemon stuff, it actually is probably pretty valuable. So but sports cards wise, there's a 80s, 90s junk wax era. And some of that stuff actually can have a ton of value in a PSA 10, but the tricky part is it is very hard to get a lot of that stuff in a PSA 10. The population counts are very low. Most of that stuff was not kept in super great condition. There might be a ton of them, like the 89 Upper Deck Griffey. There are, I don't even remember, like 80,000 on the PSA population report, but only a few thousand in PSA 10. So it gets a huge premium because of that.
Is it still holding up at 5K?
Last I checked, it's still pretty far up there.
Impressive.
But that would be the equivalent, because Pokemon, like, legitimately, if you had 30-year-old Pokemon stuff, that might actually be pretty valuable.
Cool. Yeah. I was just wondering, because I know that's just something we hear all the time, like where somebody's like got a collection, and it's usually it's like just a bunch of Image, or
a bunch of Jim Lee X-Men.
Yeah, Jim Lee X-Men, something like that.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan or Manu? Did you guys have kind of thoughts on the sale or comments on this being this crazy marketing event for collectibles?
I mean, one thing I don't love that this is like becoming the face of collectibles. I
Mm.
don't love that. It just kind of, I don't know. It kind of feels like a joke. I mean, like I said, it's like all just marketing. Like, especially, and you can understand why a company would want to do that. It's like you could spend what, like $10 million on a Super Bowl ad, or you could spend $10 million on this thing where you still actually have something tangible, and you get all of this publicity that goes with it. You know, it's not just dumped down the drain once it's done. And so I can understand it, but yeah, it really did sound like a lot of the higher end bids on this were companies, you know, which
It
I mean,
was.
there's not really anything wrong with that, I guess. Like, but it
Or
just,
like a hedge fund group.
yeah, it feels a little weird.
I think yeah, no, it did sound like a lot of the action came from companies, and I think that's an important thing to make note of. And I think it's kind of on our agenda tonight to talk about that, the idea of marketing versus market manipulation, and some of the overlap, you know, some of the words that are just semantics, but essentially the same thing, but then, you know, intent plays into that. But one of the things that I want to reflect on in regards to the sale, huge number, you know, whatever, trickle down effects, perhaps, right? And we're going to talk about Ken's 30-minute live stream that has been removed. And I can assume what reasons, but there were some things that were obvious to us that he said. It's surprising that he said them, which made it very entertaining. And I want to just reflect on 2 weeks ago when we were talking about this card. I made mention of the video where Logan Paul was being shown his card in the new slab, and how he was like pretending. I didn't know it was fake yet, but it seemed obvious it was fake. I mean, the act, not the card. But he seemed so shocked. Oh my gosh, look how great it looks in this case. And this over the top acting, I'm not a fan of, right? But it is marketing. It's the show. It's the circus. It's everything that Ken said it is, to get attention, to get buzzed, good or bad, to get people talking about it. And I was saying that that was obviously fake. Now, you would have never expected Ken to say that, but apparently
That
Ken
was one
got-
of the bigger surprises, was him
Exactly.
saying that. I
So,
agree.
yeah, so Ken got called out about that probably a bunch of times. And he said right there to the screen, there's a lot to read into to what Ken said, but Ken looked at the screen and said, guys, obviously Logan knew. It's called content. I do my job. I'm here to cause a commotion and sell these collectibles. In other words, right? But he admitted to it. And we know that going into this, that this is a charade, but it might require the charade to achieve these sorts of values at the top end of the market. How does that apply to a regular collector selling their regular collection? It's difficult to correlate or to repeat something like that if you don't have the budget for marketing or the exposure. So that was one of the key takeaways is the thoughts now surrounding what does it take for that to effectively affect your values? Can you achieve something similar without the everything, the circus that surrounds it all, right? And that has a huge negative connotation. But those are my thoughts, and I know we're going to dive more into that. But that Ken Goldin live stream was epic.
Yeah,
I think the
it
key
definitely was
thing though,
epic.
on the marketing side though is that most people aren't selling a unique, basically one of one item.
Right.
You know, if you're your average collector and you have a ASM 300 and a 9.8, so does everybody else. Like you can only market that so much because there's just other ones out there that have price floors and ceilings above yours on the open market.
Correct.
If you truly have something unique, then that's a little bit of a different story. You can market that stuff.
And you should, right? You know.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about that because, again, like you kind of set it up, Manu. Later on, we're going to get into market manipulation versus marketing, talking about Dork and what's going on with that comic book. And I kind of feel like even if you're not Ken Goldin or Logan Paul, or you don't have that card that is like the one of one card, what I feel like I saw when I watched that live stream was like, oh, like the auction industry just changed overnight. Meaning like, yeah, you may not be an influencer, you may not be a WWE wrestler, but if you're not taking advantage of content and media and social media, I should say, and ways to promote your items or your auctions, or you're an auction house who's not doing that, I think that frankly, you're falling behind because whether it's good or bad or however you feel about it, you know, now that there's this kind of like degen crypto bro collectible brand that exists out there, like the normie person now knows Ken Goldin, or the normie person now knows Pokemon cards are a hot thing. And if you're that normal person that has collectibles to sell, I mean, your first phone call might now be Ken Goldin versus like one of the other auction houses. So I think it's kind of an interesting thing based on that, marketing aspect. But we can kind of go forward here to the aftermath of the sale, which was essentially Ken Goldin going on a live on his Instagram and having what was maybe one of the most epic crash outs I think that we have seen in the collectible world. It was highly, highly entertaining. Like Manu said, he did end up removing it, although the video has been out there. I don't know if I can play the whole thing. In fact, it might be kind of good if we just play this clip. This is one that Collect had clipped out. And this is the one that I think caused the biggest issue within the community, and also was the part, or also is the title of our show in reference to you being poor and you're broke and you can't afford, to buy collectibles. But tell me if you guys can actually hear this if I play it here.
No.
Can't hear it?
No.
All right.
Oh, can chat hear it? I don't know. I don't think so.
Probably no. Can chat hear it?
Muted?
No.
I would doubt chat could hear it if we can't.
But even if we can't get this thing to play, hit up
Neo
for links. He's got links. You guys got to see.
I'm gonna play it. I can hear it. Chat, maybe you can help us out real quick. Chat, let me know if you can hear this.
Yeah, Derek says no.
Can't hear it? Okay, interesting. All right.
Should I give the synopsis? No, it's fine. It's fine.
We have it. Yeah, we have it. We're not having technical difficulties. I'll have to figure that out on another show. We're not going to delay it. But suffice to say, he went on a rant basically addressing all of the various criticisms that have come his way with the sale. One being that this card used to be a PSA 9 and is not actually a PSA 10. One being that the card is actually partly owned by some of the people who bought it off Liquid Marketplace. The other being that, like Manu already talked about, that there was a reholder process and there was like marketing behind this whole event. And then the other part also being that, at the end of it, which is what this part is clipped from Collect, he went on to talk about how at the end of the day, the people who are mad or the people who are yelling on the internet are basically a bunch of people who would never be his customers anyway. They can't even buy this thing. They don't even have money to buy in his weekly auctions, let alone this major Pokemon event. And he just called people out. Like he just went after him, and that caused a huge uproar within the community. Obviously, he got ratioed pretty hard. People were, making fun of him or clapping back. But let me kind of throw it out to you guys as we sort of set up the story here. What did you guys think of this epic crash out rant that Ken Goldin had?
So I'll say, like we talked about earlier, there were some things that it was surprising to hear him say. There were some things I learned that were interesting. Like I knew that he had sold basically Goldin. Like it wasn't like he wasn't profiting off of these things anymore, but I didn't realize he wasn't receiving anything direct based on the actual sales. So I thought that was kind of interesting to hear, is that he basically, it sounds like he has a salary, maybe he gets bonuses or whatever, but like he's not getting a cut of that sale like you would if you were maybe in ownership, or at least that's what he says. That's what I'll take his word for that. But yeah, the calling people poor and unhappy, and that's why and that you had to love this sale. Like that, to me, that was one of the big lines that came out of there. It's like, if you are a collector, you love this sale. And that's just not the case. Like, I don't love the sale because I don't like the imagery of these types of sales, and I get it. Like, if that's what you have to do to sell the thing, I mean, so be it. But I am not into all the confetti coming down from the ceiling and all that kind of just like over the top, like just to get people to bid, excitement type stuff. Like, it's just not for me. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, I guess it's cool that it was a big sale for it, but I don't know. It doesn't, I don't get any like good feeling from it. I feel like there are lots of other sales I've felt like excited about, and this was not one of them. Yeah, and I know it's a real sale. Like we saw the people that buy it and everything, like obviously people bid on it. Like, but yeah, especially when it comes across as being like marketing, like the marketing buy, like that it doesn't feel as real or anything, like I said earlier, like it kind of feels like you're buying some marketing, like it's your marketing budget and you just happen to get something tangible out of it.
Yeah.
What about
Is
you guys? Do you
there
guys have any
any
thoughts?
comic book that could replicate something like this?
Oh, there's comics that could sell for more than that.
No,
Yeah,
not the number, the pomp and the circumstance.
Well, it just takes you would have to have, like, if say the Action 1 Mile High copy went, it would have to be sold by someone who's willing to do that. It's like, that's what it all comes down to. It's like, I find it unlikely that, Heritage or Comic Link is going to do that. So if it goes there, probably not. But if it's sold by Goldin, he probably would. I mean, it's like, but would the owner of one of those books want to go on TV and be screaming and taking off their shirt and all that kind of stuff? Like, probably not.
The problem though is just that most people probably don't know the owner of those books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know if we have a
You
Logan
could-
Paul equivalent in.
That's kind of what I'm
comics.
driving at. Like, is there a comic book collector on the Logan
Nicolas
Paul
Cage
level?
maybe is the closest you might get, but he's getting on a little bit. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it just depends. I mean, like there's Nicolas Cage. People say that Eminem is a huge collector. If Eminem ever
I
wants to
could
sell
probably
his
do it.
collection and be like the marketer of it. See, the one thing that is a big part of this is that Logan Paul was down to be heavily involved in the marketing of it. Like he
This is
spent
what he
a
does.
lot of
I
his
mean-
time. Yeah. So I think if you can get an influencer who makes content, or a Twitch streamer who's a comic collector, or a YouTuber, or who understands the content world, like, and we're willing to put in the sweat equity, I think you could maybe replicate it in comic books. Although to your point, I think generally the demographic skews towards cards if you're somebody who's like an influencer of that age.
I'd like to
But-
reflect. Oh,
I was gonna say, well, just going back to the epic rant that
Yeah.
Ken Goldin had, like, just
Yeah.
were there any things that you want to comment on?
Yeah, I do want to. And speaking of what you just said about Eminem, for anyone that doesn't know this is just something I heard. And if someone can confirm, it'd be great. But apparently that AF-15, the 9.6 that sold several years ago for like the 3 million range, 3.16, apparently Eminem was the buyer for that. I just heard that through the grapevine. I think
That's the rumor, but
That's
I
the
don't know if
rumor.
there's any
I
confirmation
hope
on
that's
it.
true because that's so cool. But back to this rant, and I'm going to be, somewhat careful. There's so much of that. There's a lot of things that I'm going to say that probably wouldn't be like, a popular opinion or something someone shouldn't say, and take it with a grain of salt. Like there are some things that Ken said, like I understand where he's coming from, but the way that he chose to say it is very Ken-like though. Like Ken has a history of being brash, and Ken does address the haters and stuff like that, and he does meet them on sort of a petty playing field. He doesn't mind doing that, right? But it's just like, it was super entertaining. He answered a lot of questions that were asked in chat. He even talked about the liquid marketplace thing, which added a little bit of context. A little, and I can't verify what's true or not, but some of the interesting things that he said, where he said, a bunch of people run around saying that 51% of the card was sold, and that's not true. I verified it's 5 point something percent of the card, and I saw Logan send a wire to someone for 275,000 or something like this, right? And then he made an interesting point. He said, do you think myself and my company, which is now owned by eBay, isn't going to make sure that if we sell something that we are passing along full unencumbered rights? Like, you don't think we're doing our due diligence? And then there's some interesting thoughts that Swag and I kind of talked about briefly around the idea of what is the due diligence that Ken Goldin would do in that situation? Is it just making sure that
isn't there an ongoing lawsuit? Like, I think there is an ongoing lawsuit.
I don't know. Yeah,
So
I know very little
Canada
about the
is
situation.
trying to bring a lawsuit against Liquid Marketplace, I believe.
And he kind of passed the onus on to the owners of Liquid Marketplace. He was like, some of those guys are shady. Take it up with them. But we did our job and making sure we were clear.
Well, so my big thing with that, and this is actually, I had kind of forgot it. This is something I wanted to mention. So one thing he was very clear on speaking to is he was like, it was legal, you know, and there is a lot you can do that is legal, but is not right. You know, and so like, I look at that very differently, where it's like, to me, like, especially if it's true that it was only 5%. So it was like 250 grand. Like, Logan Paul could have made made himself look awesome and be like, yeah, I'm going to triple everybody's money that invested, you know, because he made 10 million minus fees off of this thing. And then it makes him look like he's charitable, like he actually took care of those people. Like that's how you could have like turned that into something really positive.
Great point.
And it's like, yeah, like maybe he does have all the rights to it. It sounds like he probably does, but like the optics of it are bad, you know? And so it's like, to me, it's like, yeah, legal and right are not always in this, you know, the same. And I feel like, yeah, maybe it was legal, but I don't feel like it was right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Ben Burrows in the chat, who is a reporter in the hobby, mentions it's not an actual lawsuit, but Liquid Marketplace is being investigated, not looking to defend Paul, but he's not actually mentioned in that investigation at any point.
Yeah, somehow he has separated himself, despite being like one of the original like people on that. I don't know how he did, but he has separated himself from Liquid Marketplace.
Well,
I think there's a difference
one of the
between
things that
investing in it and like actually owning and running it. And I don't know that he was more than like a money guy, but I don't know that.
And this is one of the things that I think is interesting. And forgive me if I get some of the details wrong, but like, you know, I tried to do as much research as I could with like the Liquid Marketplace thing, and it does kind of give him an out in the sense that like, you know, whatever the FCC equivalent is up in Canada, like kind of investigated Liquid Marketplace. And basically one of the reasons why their company failed is that they weren't abiding by the actual laws up there. And so the ownership that they sold wasn't actual real ownership. So I think the people that bought into the car don't actually have any claim to whatever the percentage is.
Wow.
And there's a lot of stories out there. And this is kind of what Ken Goldin was also getting at, where he's just like, you know, he was like, we would do our due diligence. We looked into it. And it's kind of like what you were getting at, Manu, and what we talked about off air, and Ryan, what you're insinuating as well, where like, I'm sure that when Ken Goldin got with his team and spoke to his lawyers, the question wasn't, is it okay that we sell this? The question was, how do we make it okay that we sell this? And I think that that's probably kind of where they looked at it, and they just figured, hey, you know what? We can get around this. We're good. There's not real ownership here with this company. If people have grievances, then they're going to have to file up a civil case with Liquid Marketplace themselves. And he did say in his stream that if you're somebody who is that person, you should, you know, file charges against Liquid Marketplace. And then I also think that it's a lot of smoke and mirrors with a lot of these, like Logan Paul being a part owner of the company. I'm sure that there was like, you know, you set up things that you get around this stuff, like at least in entertainment, you know, like there's always actors who are like, quote unquote, the producers of the movie, but like it's kind of more in name and there's no real liability if something happens on that movie. So I wonder if there was something similar to what Logan did in that sense. But yeah, it was a, you know, he was such an epic rabbit as far as him addressing all these topics. And, you know, he made mention of the fact that people were yelling over the fact that this is a PSA 9 and not a PSA 10. And he kind of did the thing, which I thought was kind of funny.
By the grade, man.
Yeah. PSA 9 or PSA, call it a 10. I don't know what you want me to do about that. They call it a 10. It's a 10. You know,
do you really want to know?
Yeah.
You really want to know. But Rob, what did you think about the whole thing?
Amazing content, that's for sure. Very entertaining, and I'm not surprised by any of it, you know, having covered the space now for 5+ years. Seeing Ken go on a 30-minute live and then, you know, move between like sensical takes and then nonsensical takes was very Ken Goldin like. You know, he made some valid points, he said some pretty crazy stuff. Like I said, an amazing piece of content. That there's going to be some things in there. I mentioned this in my video tomorrow, that, you know, the too poor thing is going to go down as like one of the sports card side of the fence memes. Like we have like the mega bid and the defensive shill bidding, and there's some other ones out there. Too broke is one that was recently popped up as well, when a breaker told his audience that stop talking about how broke they are in chat and buy into their break. And now following in the heels of you know, Ken dropping the poor comment.
Here's a question for you, Neo. Does this actually go against Ken, or does it strengthen Ken's brand as Ken, you know, as the loud marketing seller that he's been since QVC days?
I mean, I think this plays right into, someone in the chat mentioned it earlier. It's basically like wrestling, and it kind of is. I think it plays right into his persona.
Yeah.
And I bet you there's probably a part of him that is probably genuinely like, yeah, fuck, like I shouldn't have went that far. But I'm sure there's also a part of him that's kind of like,
well, that's probably why it got pulled.
It being pulled.
It's like the whole like there's no bad press type thing. Like everyone's still talking about this a week later. You know, like you made the comment earlier, Ryan, about like the marketing angle of all this. You know, would you rather drop 15 million on a Super Bowl spot or this? And this has probably gotten way more coverage and way more eyes than a 30-second Super Bowl ad ever did, both for everyone involved here, Goldin auctions included, you know.
This whole thing, this whole rollout for this card, marketing for this card, its association with Goldin has been just big for them, huge for them. The amount of exposure that Ken got out of this is priceless, you know, and even if he isn't making any part of the fee, which anyway, I don't want to speak to what his involvement with the company is at this point, I'm not sure, but you know, the fact that the stream got taken down, or that reel or whatever it is, the live got taken down, obviously says a lot. I'd be really curious to know. I don't think that he would have taken it down just because of community backlash, because that just would have been, you know, more engagement. I personally think, and I have no way of, I haven't verified this, I don't know, but he brought up eBay a lot, you know, because now eBay owns them, and maybe there were some things which, if
eBay's
I'm eBay,
like, shut up.
exactly, like I wouldn't have wanted my brand associated with the harsh things that he was saying in the very Ken. So I didn't take offense to anything Ken said. I was just like, talk your shit, Ken. You know, it is what it is, you know. But eBay was probably like, yeah, bro, that's not the kind of messaging we want out there. So why don't you go ahead and take this down? But that's what I assume happened, because eBay is going to be the most careful out of all entities involved. They're the biggest brand with the most to protect.
Well, they're publicly traded, and that adds that's one thing about eBay that is not common in this space. They are actually, they might be the only, are they the only on the card and the comic book side, like major company that is actually publicly traded? I can't think of anyone else.
They might actually be the
CGC is owned by Blackstone, who is
but CGC is a percent of a percent of a percent of a percent of,
yeah, and you can't buy shares of CGC. You know what I mean?
And buying shares of Blackstone or whichever one it is not affected by the value. Like CGC could go to zero. That share does not change whatsoever.
CGC,
but you could say the same thing about Goldin and eBay. Like Goldin isn't a
but eBay eBay isolated.
eBay. Like,
well, no, I know, but just like, but I think to the same point though about CGC and Blackstone, like
I think it's different because like literally CGC to Blackstone is like a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Goldin to eBay is probably a bigger piece of the pie
and much more exposure. When we think about Goldin and Goldin's brand in the last 5 years alone, we're talking about a partnership with Netflix. We're talking about a very well viewed, very well received series that's probably going to go into a season 3 that's consumed on just for pure entertainment. You know, CGC has nothing like that. CGC in terms of reach is nothing compared to what Ken now has the ability to project onto the world, which does have an effect on what the collecting community thinks about eBay if their association is one that the community wouldn't like. eBay should be much more careful than a Blackstone. Blackstone gives a shit.
BlackRock, not Blackstone.
BlackRock, sorry guys.
It's Blackstone, actually. It's not
the hell with it. Whoever the hell it is.
God damn it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
There are two entities. There's Blackstone and BlackRock. Everybody in the collectible space always says BlackRock because of the bigger one, but it's actually Blackstone.
Okay, it's Blackstone. And regardless, yeah, Blackstone could give a shit less what the brand of CGC goes through. I do believe eBay cares a lot about what the brand of Goldin goes through because it's more closely related with what eBay is. eBay is a collectible selling platform as we know it. It's more than that as well. And that's what Goldin is. Blackstone is not a collectible selling company. It is a company that owns companies for the sake of making a profit, and they own hundreds of billions of dollars worth of stuff.
Yeah, and publicly traded companies are way more sensitive about this stuff, and way more on top of things like this. And I agree with Manu. I could potentially see that maybe that's why this thing got yanked. But I mean, you know, the toothpaste is out of the tube. It's saved everywhere. It's on YouTube. It's on Twitter. It's on IG. It's all over the place. So it's not going away. It will live in infamy.
Yeah, I like this comment. Is this Ben Burrows here? I can only see the beginning of the name. It says Benjamin. It says,
Yeah,
regardless of how you feel, it says, regardless of how you feel about Ken, Goldin is by far the best marketer of the major auction houses in the space, and it's not even close. Exactly. Like he said so many times in that stream. I'm not saying for better or for worse, but like he said so many times is, I do my job. It is my job to get your guys' attention. I talk to my bidders. He said, you think I'm stupid? You don't think I know who was bidding? I spoke to all of them in advance. I made arrangements for them to be in the room if they could. I knew who was planning on making a $10+ million bid, $15+ million bid. I encouraged it. I talked them through it. He's pulling the strings here. He can't get them to make the bid, but he can do everything up into that point. And that is his job. And that's something that most people would not want to believe or admit is what it takes. But we've said it before, auction houses have to massage their potential clients. They have to.
Can I ask about that? Because to me, it's like, why is that not obvious?
Right.
Like, are we so naive that like we're not constantly getting marketed to and sold to, and there's like invisible advertising in front of our faces at all times on social media? Like, I just don't understand it. Like that to me, as far as all the criticisms, has always been the weakest part of the scandal that the sale was. That like, oh, they're marketing or they're reholder or blah 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 or all this. To me, I was like, this is a red herring. Like, you guys should not be nitpicking this part of it. You know, the liquid marketplace was the most interesting aspect to it all, but the marketing aspect seemed like duh. You know,
I mean, to me, I think the thing is that it feels so obvious that it's just, like it's just being marketed up, like the maybe at least, or maybe to a large percentage of the collector community. Like when you're getting played, like that's what it kind of feels like. And so you're just like, but like the reality is like, what do I care if some dude worth $1 billion or $100 million or whatever buys this card? Like,
right, exactly.
I don't care. Like, it does not affect my life. Like I'm not angry about it. Like, he can buy whatever he wants. Like, it just like, it doesn't matter to me.
If you love collectibles, you should love this sale.
You love this sale.
You love it.
Well, Ryan confirmed rich because he's not mad.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
And I could afford some things on his auction. So
let's throw Ken Goldin a little bit of an olive branch for a second here. Let's talk about that. Like, people being angry online and just yelling and being mad because they're poor. What's the best interpretation we can give them on that one?
Well, like, to me, it's what you always tell me, like whenever I get like kind of worked up when somebody's like, no, I'm just saying, like when somebody's like just kind of like an asshole to me in the comments, you're just like, I don't know why you're still responding to these people. It's like, I almost feel like it's like he just had a huge victory, and instead of celebrating, he's on Instagram or whatever, like ranting at people. Like, it's like, who cares about those people? Like, you just had this huge mega win. Screw them. Like, go do whatever. It's like just let it. It's like, it's the trying to let that stuff go. Like, if you are making yourself that public, you've got to have like a thick skin, and I think he does have a thick skin. But still, clearly that stuff gets to him. Like, I mean, it's like any of us. Like, that stuff gets to you. Like, you can't see somebody call you an asshole or whatever and it not like touch you in some way, but like something like that, it's like you just had like one of the biggest wins ever in collectibles, and you're not out there like celebrating. Like, you're talking to all these people that are just there to be mad, So,
I think there's part of Ken that ranting on a 30-minute IG live that might be like a little bit of celebration for him.
Oh, I think he loved it, bro. Yeah. He will, like I said, he will meet you on Petty at any time of the day.
I mean, he had a look in his eye of like glee while he was doing that.
And he was so happy to block people. You get blocked. You get blocked. How many people did he block during that stream?
He was fired up. He was fired up. I totally get it. Like, he probably had, a couple drinks, they were partying, like he was like, F it, let's go live. Let's freaking go, Yeah. So I kind of get it. But I'm sure he definitely regretted it. But I don't know if you guys have any last little thoughts on this one before we kind of transition over to some of the other topics with it.
How many cards are we going to see with diamond chains now?
Oh man.
Because I've already seen one more.
We might see a lot of them because, we already mentioned AJ Scaramucci, who, bought the card he made mention that he believes that this card is worth $100 million.
He
So
said that? I missed that.
that's pretty cool that, if you just say that when you buy a card for something, it's now worth $100 million.
Guys, I'm offering 45 million. I think it's only worth 50. I'm offering 45 million right now. Scaramucci, my apologies if I mispronounced that. 45
Man, if he
million
reaches
on the
out to you, I
table.
don't know. Like, is that
Yeah, I don't know.
legally binding?
I will call
Legally
Ken's
binding.
lawyers.
AJ,
I'll call Ken's
you-
lawyers. I'll see where I stand. But
Manu,
yeah,
what's,
40
what's a Malibu Sun PSA 10 worth?
I can't speak on that. I don't do that kind of marketing.
At least 45
Well,
million.
50 million? 100 million? Would you
Listen,
trade
listen,
the
You'll
Malibu
do an
Sun
even
10 for the
trade
50
for that
Illustrated Rare?
Pokemon.
Whoever buys the Malibu Sun PSA 10 is going to sell it for more than they pay for it when they go to sell it. That's my belief. And so I think people should purchase or bid with confidence.
Don't use
let's
the G
just
word.
manifest it to be worth $1 million. Okay. Because I learned from Mr. Wonderful, excuse me, Kevin O'Leary, that if you just say a card is worth something, it's just magically worth that. His $12 million purchase is now worth 17 million, which he said on Fox when he went on their show the other day, talking about the collectible and sports card industry. But the interesting thing here is that he also made mention of the fact that he has a card that he's going to unveil on February 27th that's going to make grown men weep. Those are his words. I think that you mentioned how many more cards are we going to see with diamond chains. I think that this one could be
one
one.
that will make me weep.
What comic book would make you weep?
It's not possible.
No, stop it, Ryan. There's got to be something.
There's no comic book that would make you weep.
I have wept over successes and things I have gotten emotional over comic books.
That's getting a
truthfully.
check though, not a comic book.
No, not even prior to getting the check, realizing an accomplishment. Like I remember a grade bump that I did that took a 10. Sorry, I was about to speak about money again, but I remember a grade bump that I was very nervous about, that I spent a lot of money to take the risk on. And when I got the grade, I was emotional about it. It was a very awesome feeling. And yes, there are a lot of reasons for it, but it was the accomplishment of it that felt so amazing to me.
Rob, I'm looking at you with this one. What's been the kind of rumor mill around this? I have to imagine it's a sports card.
That's my assumption. I don't know for sure. The tricky part is like this some crazy high grade vintage card, or is it something modern? I'm gonna, on the modern side, my guesses would be there's a Luca and a Steph 1-of-1 that have both never turned up. So it could, maybe he found one of those. And then there's the Topps triple auto Olympic card that has been a major mystery for the last few years. Those are my three guesses.
Oh, that's a good point that just came in chat. Someone said that Kevin's revealing a card is not your accomplishment. And that's actually really important to put into context. Yeah, him revealing a card wouldn't make me weep. Sorry, Ryan, I'm with you. Like, who gives it? Yeah, I agree, actually. I took it personally. That makes a lot of sense.
I just think it's hilarious that even Canadians don't, like every time he's on TV, they're like, don't associate with us. Even Canadians don't want anything to do with him. But man, I don't like him.
Well, we're gonna have to stay tuned for that card. I mean, maybe it'll be a new story by the time we do our next show, and I'm sure he'll want to sell it on Goldin auctions because, guys, during that sale, there were other Pokemon cards that were up for grabs. There were other pack rips that were going on, and Goldin auctions 1999 Pokemon Charizard Holo in a PSA 10 sold for $954,000, to be compared to a price paid for the exact same card on Fanatics Collect not too long after at $528,000. What do you make about this difference of 2x here?
$500,000. This is such an interesting study. Yeah.
Well, the trick here is,
especially when the Logan Paul one, again, that's a questionable 10. It's like the fact that I'm not like big into Pokemon, and the instant I saw that card, I'm like, that is off center, right to left. Like if it's visibly off center, right to left, this far out, I question the 10 on that one. Like the one on the right is very centered. Like just the centering on that one is not great.
The centering on the right is better. On the one on the right is better.
Yeah.
You are right.
Yeah,
If
like
I'm
you can
being
just see it.
fair-
Look at
If
that
I'm
lower
being fair,
right corner on the $954,000 one. That's where it's most apparent. But maybe
Sure.
that falls
But
into the
look
old
at the
guide.
case. Look at the case, though. I feel like this image is slightly warped up here, though. Meaning the
You think it's
photo
like
could
turned?
be, yeah, it could be turned. But also, I'm shilling for. Ken
But
Goldin.
I mean, it could well fall into the previous parameters of a PSA 10. They used to do, if I'm Neo, you could
if it was
correct me,
60-40 versus 55-45. Yeah, it's possible.
According to PSA, their standards have never changed.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh,
I
yeah,
thought they said that they did. I thought that was in like that press release or whatever, where it changed to 55-45.
It
They
did. It
never
silently
officially
changed.
changed.
Remember, it silently
Yeah.
changed. They never something of that sort. Because it definitely used to
Well-
say 60-40, and it used to say I think
The
70-30 for the
verbiage
back or something.
updated, but they used some very tricky language around that, shall we say?
The back was different, right? The percentage, the allowance for the back
You get a
was
little
different.
loose around the back. So the thing with this card to keep in mind, and Ben can correct me in the chat, I believe the 528K sale is actually like fairly in line with where this card sells. The Logan Paul one just got a massive premium. So it's not like all of a sudden this card tanked in value. Like it usually goes around 500,000. It's just the
Yeah.
Logan Paul premium in effect
So
again.
what
The
did
thing
Well,
I
I
thought
think
was
that- I
funny
think
though is
that's the
I saw
story,
someone
is that-
someone posted their like collection image, and it was like the value of their collection, and they had a PSA 10 Charizard, and they used like 850,000 for their value on their card. And it's like, I don't think so. Like,
So the question
Well-
about marketing and stuff is, can you with the PSA 10 achieve $950,000 or
no.
right? So is it the value of
Well-
the item, or is it the value of participating?
This is a very important aspect, though, because to me, the value is in the story.
Yeah, the
'Cause
last
I
one
do-
sold prior to this one for 550K in December. So that's right in line with where that card sells. It's just the Logan Paul one got a huge premium.
There it is.
Right. And I don't, and the story to me is not that, oh, look at the card going down. The story is the fact that look at this premium that was had.
Yeah.
But I think that there
Yeah.
are people that value the premium. Like, this is why we have Pedigree copies. This is why we have the Fantas collection. Like, this is like the story behind a particular item is sometimes what people actually want to own out of it. You know what I
The
mean?
Nick
And so
Cage
like
comics, like we
Well,
discussed.
it's-
a Nick
the
Cage
sa-
copy, or
Yeah,
like
I mean,
if
it's the same
you
reason
know, like,
that illustrator, like even though there's like that CGC 10, all that, it's like, yeah, but that one wasn't in WrestleMania. It's like there are things there that
Yeah.
that add value to that above and beyond what it would sell for just as a card.
yeah, it's crazy that it adds $400,000 of value. That's quite a lot of extra value,
Yeah.
but I totally understand premiums. So I don't know, pretty interesting.
Good for Logan.
let's give a quick-
Good for Logan and Ken.
Good for them. Congratulations. Quick
Very
shout out to
important for that one.
Huraton here with the $2 Canadian super that says Shock Suspense number 6, which if you guys don't know is the classic Red Hood bondage girl cover, the KKK one, versus Vault 435, which is the axe murderer Christmas tree casket thing.
Vault 35. I mean, Vault 35 is my favorite EC book, like
Does it make you weep?
hands down. So
Yeah, does it make you weep?
it does not make me weep.
Vault 35 looks dope.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Vault 35. I like Christmas trees.
I also would go with Vault
I like
35.
Christmas trees. I do too. Christmas trees are great.
Well, PSA has never changed their grading standards, but something that they do change regularly is their prices. We are over on Rob's X right here, where he said some overnight PSA news with price increases across the board. Looks like TCG bulk gets hit the hardest. Hashtag the hobby. There we see the price increases for PSA. I would like to point out that this post from Rob got 1.2 million views on X. That's more views than Ken Goldin's Epic Rip. So Epic Rip. So
wild.
congratulations to you on this one. But Rob, why don't you kind of take us through the PSA pricing update, and maybe more importantly, you also had an interview with Ryan Hogue, president of Collectors, and you guys talked about the PSA pricing. You guys talked about a little bit about the business. I thought the most entertaining thing, which you guys should absolutely watch the interview, but the most entertaining thing you guys are going to thank me is to just jump into that comment section. You're going to definitely love to see what people are saying. But maybe Rob, you can talk about PSA's pricing update, what's going on with it, and maybe the uproar within the community.
Yeah, that is my most commented video ever as well. And it broke the record on comments like within the first 10 hours. And I've been making videos for 5+ years, so that's pretty crazy. Not my most viewed video, but definitely the most commented on. So essentially this boils down to they are still getting too many cards to grade according to them. Most of that is being Pokemon / TCG, so they get the biggest price increase. Sports people were always pretty pissed that the TCG volume the last year has kind of hurt their ability to grade sports cards. And TCG was also always a few dollars cheaper. So a lot of people were like, finally, on jacking up the TCG price to the same price as the sports card price to stop that price break. But if you believe them, essentially what this boils down to is PSA is getting 150,000 cards a day in the door, and they can only put out about 100,000 cards a day. And this is their 4th price increase in about 14 months. And it has not slowed down demand at all. There is, you pull up my Instagram, there is a fun chart that they shared as well. If you find that same post, actually it might be a separate post, or it's on Twitter too. It's just 2 line graphs that kind of separate from each other. So, I mean, that's essentially the gist of it, is what it comes down to. They have a couple levers that they can pull to slow down incoming volume, and price is their easiest one to pull, and that's what they pulled. Regarding the comment section, I mean, the biggest outrage that, just other than things just being more expensive, is people's frustrations with their not scaling the business. And we did kind of talk about some of that in there. Like, we got into how long it takes them to train graders and things like that. And I would argue, I mean, you could say that they haven't scaled enough. That's fair. But you can't say they haven't scaled. Because if you look at like gem rate numbers, back in January of 25, they were grading like 130,000 cards or 1.3 million cards a month. And now they're grading 2 million cards a month. So almost 700,000 card per month increase over a year means that they have definitely scaled the business. They just haven't scaled it enough to keep up with demand.
So,
and
all that stuff makes sense to me, but like, do they always have to raise the price?
How else are you going to slow cards coming in?
Would people rather have cheaper prices or longer turnaround times? Like, are people okay with longer turnaround times?
So they increased turnaround times as well a couple of times.
People want everything. I think we're all familiar with with the collector community. Like, that was like my thought was like, there was nothing that they could say that would be accepted. Like that, it's a lose-lose going out there. And I mean, because honestly, like I watched that interview, and like I agree with the stuff he says. Like, it makes sense. Like, we don't want to scale too fast. If we do, then you hire a bunch of people. Maybe it ends up being that things start dropping off soon after that, and now we've got a bunch of people we've got to let go, or a bunch of extra equipment we can't use. There's risks to scaling too fast, and they are a business. Their purpose is to ensure that they remain viable for long periods of time, not just meet the immediate like flash in the pan demands that pop up. And like, if I was them, I'd raise prices again. And I'm sure they're going to. If they've raised them 4 times in the last 14 months, it's coming. So if I was them, I'd be raising prices more and more until you get to that point. And if you reach a point where you need to drop prices, so be it. But yeah, like, if you're bringing in 50% more cards than you can grade on a daily basis, like that's what most businesses do. You get too much business, you raise your prices to get your business back in line with what you can do. And I know people will hate hearing that, but like, that's what it is. Like, I mean, I don't know. That's pretty standard business practice.
Yeah. What do you think, Manu?
I agree. No. I mean, I agree. I don't grade a ton. I grade very intentionally. I'm oftentimes saying that I really don't care if the prices go up. And there might come a point in time where I no longer say I don't care if the prices go up. I don't like, I'm not patient, so I don't like turnaround times to be really long. I generally grade at whatever some of the most expensive or expensive tiers are, and I'll pay for the expedition or whatever to expedite the grading process. But that is kind of interesting what you said though, Swag. Like, do you have to raise prices to slow down the submissions? You could, I mean, theoretically, you could just lock up submissions like you did during the pandemic, right? Just be like, we're closed for a while. You could do that as well, because is there some like negativity that spreads with the price increase that you can shield yourself from by doing something else? But at the same time, like people in the chat have said, some bald guy said he was at a submission center and there's no slowdown of submissions, and I agree with that. Like people that want their cards graded, and you know, for whatever reason, they're still sending them in. From a business perspective, I understand why PSA raises prices. I understand the mechanism of it. Yeah, I'm just an observer of it, and I guess I'm fine with it until a certain point. But I don't think I've hit that point yet because I don't do a bunch of grading just for the fun of grading.
Well, did they, and this may be more of a question for Neo, did they actually stop submissions? I thought they just removed the lower tiers. I thought
During
they,
the pandemic,
yeah,
they cut everything but the ultra high tiers.
yeah. So I mean, that's effectively just raising prices, you know? I mean,
Wow,
it's
but it
like
was
we're only
like-
doing this.
I mean, it was like minimum like hundreds of dollars to grade a single
Yeah.
card during the pandemic when they got rid of the lower tier pricing.
Shoot,
I think the
thought
one
there
thing to
was a
keep in
time
mind
where
too, with like what Swag mentioned with extending turnaround times longer, I don't know that they want to go down that path, because keep in mind, PSA doesn't get paid until the item's graded. So I don't know that they want to hold all that stuff in their warehouse and not get paid. You know, if you extend turnaround times from 5 months to 8 months, that's 3 months longer that you're not collecting any revenue on that item.
They could
It's
just
in their
change
best
to what
interest.
CGC does. They charge you when they receive it. Then
Well, PSA has to charge at the end because they do upcharges.
I mean, CGC does upcharges.
Yeah,
They
they'll
just
just
upcharge
you'll
it
get
later.
2 charges. You'll get the first
Oh,
charge and then the
PSA
later
does it all
charge.
at once at the end. And a lot of people like that though, because you're not paying up front. You're basically,
Oh, I know. I would
it
prefer
allows
that.
you to leverage,
I-
you know, because you're essentially getting the bill for your grading order as you're getting your order back in the mail.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's
it allows
obviously
you to-
much like from a submitter side, I would prefer that, because then, especially if you have a really expensive item, like say it's on your credit card, you can sell it if you had to, like in that case, and like cover
Yeah.
your bill if you were in that type of situation. But
I think it also helps keep pressure off, because imagine if you paid for all these orders up front and now they're still there 6 months later and you still haven't gotten them back yet. Like that, people would be even more pissed off.
yeah,
I guess I completely understand the reason you guys are saying and putting out there. I sort of asked the question just for the conversation, but Rob, why do you think that this particular one was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back within the community of them being so upset? Obviously, like you mentioned, is the 4th price increase within 14 months. Maybe it was just it just took 4, but like, is it just people are poor and mad? Or why was this one the one that
I
made
think a
people so
large part of the backlash was this is the first time nobody knew. Usually what happens when they do these, they leak things out. I shouldn't say leak. They essentially tell their group submitters like, hey, prices are going up a few days before, and give them time to like finish up the current orders and things that they're working on. And this time they did not do that, because the problem when they do that is as soon as they tell the group submitters, it immediately leaks to everybody else, because someone makes a post, someone tells somebody else, and then immediately, you know, us content creators are running to a microphone to make a video how PSA prices are increasing, and then everybody slams them with orders.
it's
And I'm
the
assuming they
influencer's
wanted
fault.
to avoid that.
That's my takeaway.
So dealers didn't have a heads up on this from what I've been able to piece together. So they were like literally, I heard from people that like were in the middle of entering orders like across a couple of days, and they woke up the next morning and all of a sudden their prices went up 30%. And they had to explain to their customers like, shit. So I saw some shops like eating the increase. I saw some going back to their customers for more money. Like I think they got put in a little bit of a bind, and I think that pissed people off even more. And this is a pretty significant increase as well, and it hasn't been that long since the last one. I mean, they just increased prices in the I think it was October or November. So now here we are a couple of months later, and they're increasing them again.
It's pretty close to the last one, yeah.
Well, we'll definitely have to kind of figure out what ends up happening with PSA prices. I feel like price increases are just the name of the game within collectibles. So I guess you don't always have to get your things graded, you know?
I mean, yeah, the thing is, like, these companies exist and people submit to them, not 100%, but largely because the people submitting them are selling them and making money. You know, it's like, if you can still make money at those prices, people will keep submitting. So clearly people are still able to make money at those prices. So, I mean, until it gets to a point where it starts eating into where it's viable to actually send cards in, it's not going to have an impact. And that's why it's like, I don't know, is that $25? Is it $40? Like, I mean, at some point you've get like a lot of that bulk junk that gets sent in. Yeah, I mean, like because I mean, I watch a lot of like Pokemon type channels, and like they get cards back that are $25 to $35 to $45, that kind of stuff. Like, if you can maybe make it so all of that just becomes no longer valid to send in, that's when you start maybe having a big impact. But I still don't feel like $25 is the line. I would project more increases to come.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I do think that the trading card market is a different animal. Like, you know, those $20, $25, $30 cards still sell, still move when they're graded. You know, the $20, $35, $40 slabs, maybe not so much. It was kind of interesting because with CGC, I think there's times when they really weren't getting submissions. And that's when we did start to see sales or like, you know, kind of a little activations or events where they were kind of advertising that like, hey, you know, we're doing a deal this month and that sort of thing. But PSA doesn't seem to be slowing down. Card market is absolutely insane. We're going to be talking more cards later on. But the next topic we have to get into is one of the comic book variety. We have to talk about Dork. And we're going to talk about all the stuff going on with it, the market manipulation, all that. But I lied. We're going to do a quick shout out to a sponsor of the show tonight before we do, which is, of course, cbbauctions.com. Guys, you're out there. You're in the comic book market these days. You know, everything is buying, everything's selling. Dork is going crazy. But you don't have to pay the buy it now prices. You know, sometimes you want to go to these auctions, especially the medium to small auctions like cbbauctions.com. The comic book boys are having an auction event this Saturday, this weekend, 6 days left. And they got a ton of goodies for you guys to pick up. A lot of the stuff is all raw. You know, I know a lot of people out there say that grading is a scam, but whether you're a raw collector or somebody who wants to, you know, take advantage of the arbitrage situation where you can pick up, you know, a nice copy of West Coast Avengers #7 in a 9.4, maybe it's a little bit better. I don't know. Their grading is pretty decent. But this is a book that has held up pretty well. You know, $77 left on the bid. First appearance of Jeff the Landshark. I mean, Ryan, what do you think? I mean, would you rather have first appearance of Jeff the Landshark with your $77, or would you rather take that 77, maybe they'll end higher, 80, 90, and buy a first appearance of Dork? Would you rather have?
I'd go with Jeff the Landshark. He's proven he's got staying power. You know, like Dork, I'm less convinced.
I called out this book, you know, when the Marvel Rival stuff was going on, and I was like, this was actually really under ordered, and it has held up surprisingly well. Like the 9/8 of this are still well above the $400 price point, which I thought was pretty amazing. But let's see what else other auctions we can see in here. You know, there's tons of stuff. They got a good mix of all types of modern, silver, bronze. Got some Venom right here for Manu.
Hey.
Let's see. Anything you guys can see in here? Take a look at what's interesting.
That Venom's big nostalgia for me. Actually, it's a glow in the dark cover.
So is that the glow?
You got some Spider. Yeah, you got some Spider-Man there. I'd go for like the.
Yeah, you got some classic Spider-Man.
Blew right past some J. Scott Campbell action. We could get banned at the card show for that.
Oh yeah, true. We can pick up some J. Scott Campbell covers. Where did I see that one right here? J. Scott Campbell
cover. I forget where it was.
Yeah. What is your favorite J. Scott Campbell cover, Rob? We got the black, we got the kissing cover, we got the one with Mary Jane, you know, where she's sitting on the couch and she's, you know, sipping her cup of tea.
Cat Noir cover?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Cat Noir cover. Isn't that one super expensive?
It is, bro. It's like
pretty pricey.
$1,500 in a 9.8 and it sells consistently. It's like, wow.
Yeah,
That doesn't
mine's
turn
the
up very
X-Men
often either.
510, but like the sketch variant, just because I like the rarity stuff. But yeah, in terms of actual visual appeal, I gotta go with you. That Black Cat Noir is really a cool cover.
Beautiful book.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. How about some
Who
this low
signed a
grade?
Venom Lethal Protector?
Oh, let's take a look here. Signed by who's that? Sam
De La Rosa,
De
the
La
colorist,
Rosa.
right?
Yeah, signed by Sam De La Rosa. So, nice copy of Venom Lethal. Let's kind of
I'm
take a
such a
look,
sucker for that book.
Yeah,
Everybody
me
loves
too.
this book. Well, head on over, guys, to CBB Auctions. They have their event going on this Saturday. Be sure to check it out. Add it to your watch list. They also have a seller program, which you can go over here. You can consign some of your books. Kind of works like an eBay store. So I'm a seller right there. I don't have anything to sell. No items found, but I'm on the website, so you guys can sign up for it. So remember, this Saturday, CBB Auctions, guys. Head on over. Give yourself a chance to win some of those raw books. There's a lot of goodies in there. We didn't get to see all of them, but I promise you, there's always good steals at that auction.
Nice.
Take it from me. All right. Well, let's kind of head over to our next topic here. Guys, everybody in the comic book market has been talking about Dork. Dork is the biggest sensation that there has been since, who knows, maybe since Absolute Batman, but it has actually surpassed that of the hype for that comic book. It's been interesting to kind of watch the conversation within the community around this book. This is an Image title. It's a new release that, kind of features a kitschy fantasy character who is half dwarf, half orc. But the aftermarket for this book, upon release, has done something that I haven't seen an aftermarket do in a long time with comic books. This is a book that came out, at cover price for whatever, $4.99, and instantaneously it jumped up to, $75. I guess maybe it's kind of tabling off, although that's a damaged copy, $87 here, $86, pretty regularly hitting, anywhere from the $70 to $90 price point. In the wake of this, we've had other comic books like White Sky that has been popping off. We've had other new interest in new modern comic books. And through all of that, there's now been a lot of conversation of market manipulation. These sales aren't real. These new books are all FOMO driven. I made a video on my channel talking about the conversation surrounding it, how people are starting to point the fingers once again to the companies like Cover Price and Key Collector and kind of accusing them as being, the entities that create all this hype and FOMO, and that hot lists are a problem. Guys, let me kind of start there and ask you, what do you guys think about sort of this new surge that we're feeling in this kind of modern comic 2026 market? And what do you think about the accusations about the market manipulation that is going on with these books?
So I haven't actually been able to follow this one super close. Like, do we know what actually popped this off? Like, I was in the middle of like a billion different things on the card side. Why this went crazy?
Yeah, let me say that. So the comic book is done by Brett Bean, who is a notable cartoonist. He has like a pretty decent following. Actually, this is something that I spoke to Comic Tom about. He made me aware of this. Comic Tom actually mentioned that Brett Bean has worked on this other kind of board game related book that's like a dungeon crawler D&D novel, and he had sort of a following there. And he guesses that a lot of those people are kind of viewing this as like, oh, hey, this is Brett Bean doing a comic book of like a D&D property that I really like. So you're kind of getting like a blue ocean audience that is jumping into this book. The conversation itself, though, of like, how did this all start is actually part of the story. There's been accusations of like, oh, influencers on Cover Price, talked about this book and said, hey, this could be a sleeper, and that's causing people to buy. And then you have all these other big pumpers that are pumping it up. And there's been a big argument. My stance is that this is just a lightning in a bottle, and social media and memes and it just being called Dork have just made people have, the propulsion to want to buy it and get in on it. And it's just become kind of a funny book to buy. I don't really know if it's like some conspiracy or grand design, but that's kind of the nature of what it is.
The interesting thing with it, though, is that from that we've had multiple now books that have popped off like this, like White Sky.
Yeah.
There's that, and I can't remember the name of it. It's like the hippopotamus with like drugs or something.
Yeah.
like there's these books that are just like that. They're hitting big numbers before they even hit the market now. And I mean, actually, I talked about this some on my video today, so it's kind of fresh in my memory. Like my thoughts on this, and I feel like maybe it's not popular. I don't know. Is that if the way I look at it, if you would not have bought this book off the shelf, if it wasn't, if you, this is what I said in my video, it's like, if you were truly honest with yourself and you go, if I walked into that shop and Dork was on the shelf, if I would have just walked past it, then you've got nothing to say, nothing to complain about. You're just mad that you missed out. And I don't even think it's about like not being able to flip it, like get it for $4 and sell it for 50. It's that you can't get it. And now it's like stuck in your head. You're like, I want it. And it's this person's fault I can't get it. And they're angry about it. And that's what I feel like it is. I feel like that's what a lot of this is. It's that they wouldn't have bought it in the first place, but then they, but now they now they want it because they can't have it, or they can't have it without paying over cover price.
Yeah, he's channeling Ken Goldin right now. Get him, Automatic.
Yeah, let's go. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think, Manu? I mean, we're going to talk about it's just some of the other aspects of the market manipulation, but do you want to kind of start with just your general sense of where the common market is right now?
No, I appreciate that. I was here during the pandemic and I saw everyone having fun with speculation, and it comes off a little harsh. I never cared. I still don't care, but it's because I'm not bothered by it in any direction. It's like, I'm going to embrace it, like this is movement. This is excitement. There are people involved. There are people talking about comic books. A few years ago, there was no new excitement. I feel like with Batman, with Absolute Batman, like something new sparked, and now we're seeing the ripple effects of that, and people are holding on to something and they're enjoying spec. And then I just have this question. I think one of the reasons none of this really moves me is I think the book's kind of cool. Now, I haven't read it, but I did hear, I watched a synopsis of it, and I thought it was kind of a cool story. I think the cover's kind of cute. I like it. I like the name, half dwarf, half orc. All of those things kind of work for me, but that's just playfully saying. But is it really that big a deal that a book sells for $100?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. You don't like it because it's too poor for you.
No,
that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing. It's too poor for you.
Like when people are complaining about like this market's manipulated, you're gonna lose your ass. Who's gonna lose their ass buying a $100 book? Like, no, you're not gonna lose your ass. You're gonna lose $100. Like,
and that's what's always kind of funny about this stuff. It's people get so worked up about someone else spending their money or losing their money, and it's like I said I was talking about the same thing about like shops like listing their book at 40 or $50, and what I said in that was I was like, if I wouldn't do that if I was a shop, but it's like if you have to do that to make ends meet as a shop, you got other problems. It's like if $40 is saving you, like you got other things to worry about, and same kind of thing. Like it's just like it's not worth the stress about it. It's like who cares?
Just just enjoy the ride. It's fun. People are buying. Now, is it manipulated? I don't know enough about it. I don't know the print run. I don't know how many sales there've been. I don't know where the whole thing started. I don't know. And I told Swag, this most likely wouldn't have even been something that I knew about for months, maybe, if it weren't for the fact that Swag did a video. Like even, Swag was like, no, you would have heard about it. Someone in your, on your Instagram, people would have talked about it. You would have seen it. And it's like, yeah, I might have seen it, but would I have stopped scrolling? Like I wouldn't have made it into the caption to know what they were talking about. I wouldn't have stopped at the cover generally. So it wouldn't have registered with me. It's the fact that Swag made a video about it that I'm even aware of it. Like this happens outside of my realm of collecting and the people that I engage with daily. And the people that I engage with daily, we are not troubled by this activity. It's just like, yo, there's this fun thing happening over here. You know anything about it? No, me either. And that's the end of it.
I agree with Kilted Corgi. We should blame Swag for this. It is 100%
Swag did it, bro. Swag, actually, yeah, the market is manipulated, and Swag did it. This video is sponsored by Dork.
Well, shout out to Slay123 DTI who gave the $10 super that's going to set this all up. Here to support you guys. It feels like some insiders were positioned perfectly by this. Seems they have a group, and this group gets the buzz out, and bam, pump and dump. Well, I am obviously one of those people. I'm clearly sitting on hundreds of books of Dork and pumping it up, but
Pumper Haas.
I think that comment is really, really interesting. And I've kind of a lot of stuff to kind of bring up with this thing. One little inside baseball, when I determine like, oh, what kind of videos do I want to make or whatever, a lot of times it is sort of like, okay, let me just kind of peruse, and Ryan and Neil, I'm sure you guys feel this too, where it's like, you're just kind of scrolling on Instagram, you're kind of looking at X, and then you kind of check in Reddit and Facebook, and then you kind of just feel like, oh, there's this like thing I'm feeling, like a story that catches you like 2 or 3 times, and you're like, wait, what is this? And then you look into it, and then you make the story. That's kind of what Dork was for me. But I just kind of feel like I was like one part of it, where like, what's interesting about this book is that it just caught like complete fire, to where you have people who are like, who I view as like much older collectors, like golden age guys, or like people in their, the guys on the Facebook group who are even older than me, and I'm already old, but like even they are sharing memes about Dork, even they are having opinions on Dork. And I think that this comes off of the heels of like, the Absolute Batman hype, and also Ultimate Fallout 4 hype. Like there's certain modern books that occasionally I think like have, the ability to cross over into like that vintage demographic. And I think that that's something that's like a testament to, the people that are excited about this book. But again, to that comment, with the market manipulation thing, I think it's interesting because we've been here before. We talked about how 2026 is going to be like the year of the Moon Boy. I remember, Rob, you made your prediction where like cards had a really great year in 2025. Maybe comics are going to have a really good year in 2026. And I genuinely feel like we're back at that point where people are looking at new comics and being like, oh, sweet. Like, can I buy this thing and flip it? Like that, in trading cards, you rip packs and you try to get the pull. In comic books, you buy comic books that come out on Wednesday and you're hoping to hit a Dork. And there's only certain times in the comic market where that actually is possible. But I think people are seeing that as a possibility now. And so now people are expecting a lot. They're thinking to themselves like, oh, what's the next hot book and all that. But the question is it market manipulation, or is it people hyping up stuff? It goes back to the Ken Goldin conversation. Like if I'm somebody who, it's like, to me, market manipulation means I am like doing, I don't know, like I'm faking sales. I'm shill bidding certain items to promote a number, versus like, if I happen to have a Whatnot stream and I'm saying, oh, dude, Dork is crazy, guys. Dork's like selling like crazy, and I'm hyping the book. Like that's not market manipulation to me. That's just sellers being sellers. Yeah. But I feel like there's a lot of conversation around this. Anyways, I've been talking long, but like, I don't know how you guys feel about anything I said.
My key question is, so this is episode 10, right? Of our show? I think it's episode 10, right? Nice. Okay. So when we do, what would that be? Like episode 35. So basically a year from now. What is more popular? Dork 1 or Absolute Batman 1?
Absolute Batman 1. There's no question. It's going to be Absolute Batman 1.
It'll be, no question, it'll be more popular, but what's more valuable?
Absolute Batman 1.
Wow.
I have no, and I'm the guy who's like just made a video today talking about it dropping in price, but Absolute Batman 1 will be more valuable in a year.
So Absolute Batman 1 and a 9.8 will be more than a Dork, whatever, cover 1.
Cover A.
Cover A.
Yeah. I'm not, I actually, I think that the more logical answer is Absolute Batman, but nobody quite knows what the print run of Dork is. People think that it's 20K, but I don't know. This one, I feel like could make it. It could make it. If we're talking a year from now, as being like, is it just that meme book that is a little more popular?
I was talking to my brother, because my brother's at Cover Price, and so I was talking to him, and I was like, Dork is going to be one of your books that's on that like a year from now stuff, where they're like, oh God, like what was this going for a year ago? Like I feel like that's what it's going to be.
I own no Dork today, but guys, let's get Dork to at least a $700 9.8 level. That'd be kind of cool.
I'm gonna be honest. Talking about pumping and dumping, I kind of like, how Ryan, you're like have this vested interest in seeing Absolute Batman go to zero. Based on all the conversation, I kind of want to have Dork be this book that becomes like $1,000 9.8. Like I actually would love that. Yeah,
and I don't have any problem with that. Like I mean, like that's the thing. Like I like that there are these books that are doing this. Like I think, and again, I said this in a video today, so this is all fresh in my memory, but like, I think that if your hobby, if your space that you're in doesn't at least have some excitement like this, then it's dying. Like it's like, how many books come out every single week that don't do this? Like what, you had 1 or 2 that popped off? Like it's not like everything is you can't afford and all that. It's like, it's great to have some level of excitement in the hobby like this, because we have not seen this really. I mean, Absolute Batman started it, but we really haven't seen this since almost like early COVID. Like and so like to me, it's good to have that little bit of excitement. And yeah, maybe you miss out on a book every once in a while because
And that's
of it.
okay.
But it's good to have that. Like, you need to have people wanting to like look and find things and think like, oh, maybe this will get optioned and all. Like, we haven't had those kinds of talks in a pretty long time.
And with that, right, you're
Yeah.
right. And with that, it's important to say we learned a lot. People learned a lot during the pandemic, right? So if this book, just off of its excitement, off of its enthusiasm, does become a $500,000, $700,000 9.8, that's the point
We're
where
pushing this thing to
No,
$1,000.
whatever, right? But that's the point where
Dude, the
people
road
should
to 1,000
the
for
road to
Dork.
1,000.
Let's
But
start it.
that's where people should practice caution. At that point, now you could potentially lose enough money to be like, fuck, that sucks, you know? And
How
so,
many people are paying for like the fastest tier of CGC grading on Dork to get it to
oh,
market first?
bro.
Oh, so many.
This
So
is when we're
many.
going to find out each of us are like selling
gotta-
9/8
you
of
know
Dork
what?
1 to each
Yeah.
other. Like,
Every week, every 2 weeks, we have to look at the 9.8 numbers. That's going to give us an idea of a lot of things. I mean, there's going to be a high percentage of 9.8s, I assume. I didn't hear anyone talk about how they're all damaged or anything. But just for fun, this would be a fun one to follow, like people are just having a good
We have
time.
vested interest now. Dork versus Absolute Batman 1.
Dork versus
track
Absolute Batman.
every other week.
Hashtag Team Dork, guys. Team Dork.
TD.
You know what's funny is
I just
again,
want to
just
see
kinda
Ryan
bringing it
have to
back
root
to-
for Absolute Batman 1 now.
I mean, I said like that's. I mean, I made my claim. I stand by it.
Let's put some money on it, Ryan. Come on, let's go. Let's make this thing real. What's the bet? No, I'm playing.
I'll bet with you on. If you think Dork's gonna be worth more, I'll bet. I'll take that.
We can have some fun. We'll talk about that. We'll have some fun.
Yeah.
We'll tell them in 2
All
weeks
right.
what our bet is. That'd be fun.
All right.
I
I'll be
mentioned
fun.
this in my video, and you were saying it, Ryan, that it's good we haven't felt this from 2021. I thought that it was interesting because in some of the market manipulation conversation I was getting at and hinting at was the fact that cover price, a shout out to BCC and the show he does over there. He got accused on a Reddit thread about like, oh, it all started here, with these guys pumping up this book. And to me, it's so interesting because we're so back to 2021 like that. Remember, like that was like the conversation when you have like spec like this and stuff that is selling like crazy, like then the influencers and the hot list become the villains again of the hobby. And I thought that was so funny that like, oh yeah, like nobody has had any issue with Key Collector for like 3 years.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden now it's like, oh, Key Collector, like this is all Key Collectors, these hot lists, they're pumping up all these books. And it's like, what about all the books they've been talking about for the past 3 years, that didn't get pumped up? Like nobody had problems with that, so I think it's just so funny that that's where we are now.
Yeah, and I think it just comes with the territory, right? Like you can't have one without the other. If the market spikes, people get excited. There's going to be the other people that are like, this is terrible. It just is what it is. And the opposite is true when the market is declining or whatever. But I think it just comes with the territory. And I think whoever is going to stick their neck out and like say something enthusiastic about where the enthusiasm is, they're going to get hit with some criticism. But listen, Key Collector didn't get hurt by the criticism during the pandemic. They're still here. They're still going strong. Tom didn't get hurt by any of his criticism. He's bigger than ever. He's making consistent content. The views are real. His engagement is real. His audience is real. They have all developed a thick skin over the years, much like I've had to start to do over the few couple of weeks and months. People are out here crazy. But it comes with the territory, and fuck it, just have a good time.
Absolutely. Well, shout out to David Snyder Normal with a $4.99 super chat that says, Neo, is the option available to actually pick up a ready PSA order at the Collectors Universe headquarters? Great interview with Ryan Hogue.
I believe only if you do walkthrough service where they're like grading it like same day. I think is the only way a normal can pick up an order.
A normal. I like that.
A poor.
A poor. What's up, poor? Can pick that.
The unwashed masses who have to go in person to pick up
They
their...
do have a service that you could pay for where you basically drop the item off, go get lunch, and come back and get it. But I don't think you could just like say I want to pick up my order at PSA.
That service is for the real collectors who love the Pokemon sale.
Yeah, if you were excited about the Pokemon sale and you can afford to bid on Goldin, you can also pick up your PSA orders.
Yeah, and afford to buy a lunch while you do. David also had another one here for the $4.99 with that said, Neo, could you see the National ever going to Dallas? Do you have a favorite city in Texas?
I've never been in Texas, so I don't have a favorite city. No, the National will never go west of the Mississippi, I predict.
Shout out
Okay.
Dallas. Shout out the Good Boy Cafe in Dallas. Belongs to a friend named Derek. You've never been to a cafe like it. It's fucking cool. If you're in town, go to the Good Boy Cafe. Show sponsored by Derek's Good Boy Cafe.
Oh, wow.
They
Well,
always
Good Boy,
do.
not-
Then I expect to receive a check at some point.
Coffee on me. Meet me in Dallas. Coffee on me.
Good Boy, not
Our
official
sponsorship words are worth more than a coffee menu. Come on.
You listen.
How are you going to devalue us like that?
I don't want everyone to know what really goes on behind the scenes. I got you, Neo. I got you. Just meet me at the Good Boy Cafe.
All right.
All right. Well, speaking of sponsorship here, I mean, shout out to Nick Barucci from Dynamite Entertainment with the $50.
Hey,
This
Nick,
episode
what up?
partially sponsored by Dynamite Entertainment. Seriously, great stream. Don't get to see them live as much as I would like. Everyone, please hit that thumbs up and share the stream. Help Swag keep growing. I appreciate that, Nick. And actually, you reminded me because I literally have some books off camera right here. Dynamite Entertainment, courtesy of them, and Nick was able to send me some variant covers. I'm going to give these away at the end of the show, guys. So stay tuned, and we will be giving you guys some free variant Dynamite books. So appreciate you. All right, guys. Well, sometimes the ungraded truth gets things a little bit misconstrued. We get new information upon old information, and we are always truth tellers here. So we want to make sure that we clear the record. But a couple shows ago, we did that video or that segment where we talked about the comic link sale that had what appeared to be a fake Ghost Rider painting. It turned out we uncovered the fact that this was actually a recreation that was sold on Comic Link. Well, Comic Link actually reached out to us, and they did make mention that, yes, indeed, it was a recreation. It was a mistake on their end. But they quickly identified that upon the sale at the time in which it was sold. They coordinated it with the buyer. They worked it out on the back end. Turns out the buyer actually still wanted to keep the item, which was great. And they were able to correct that. So, shout out to Ross from Comic Link, who was able to kind of let us know that, wanted to take some time to, correct that on the show.
Absolutely. Shout out Ross.
Well, speaking of art, guys, it is actually OAX right now in Orlando, Florida. OAX is the biggest con for original art, and we have some major OA and comic books soon coming up for sale. I thought it might be worth kind of pulling up, the Heritage Auction Platinum sale that's kind of coming up soon. I mean, it's going to be, by the end of next week, all of these incredible items are going to have been sold. We'll probably do a little bit of a recap, with some of these items by the time we do our next show. But this one features the Vampirella #1 original Frank Frazetta painting, which actually, speaking of Dynamite Entertainment, who of course, now owns the property of Vampirella. But this is a pretty incredible piece that currently is sitting at $500,000. You would think that this is going to go well above $1 million, but it's kind of hard to predict like where some of these things are going to sell. But I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that one, Ryan? I know you did a video on it.
I don't remember what I predicted for that. I would be shocked if it went below $1 million, like shocked. So, I mean, typically, like more often than not, the price a book achieves in the live bidding is 2-3 plus times what it is prior. So like, I'd never get too worked up about like, oh, a price is like really low or something like that going in. Cause I mean, the live bidding tends to jump quite a bit. Like I've done a few videos on them where like I've looked at like the percent, like what the book was at before the live bidding started and what they went for afterwards, and kind of like what the average increase was and that kind of stuff. And I mean, typically you see like 180 to 250%, somewhere in that range. And you have some that are big outliers where it's like 500, 600%. Like it's just like the excitement of the bidding and everything like that. And just like people wanting to wait, they hope they get a deal, you know, like that's usually how it works. You know, it's just like with eBay bidding and that kind of stuff. People wait to the last second to bid. A lot of times you see that on all of these auctions as well.
Yeah. We also have a bunch of Todd McFarlane pages.
Man, that thing is
for
so
sale, too.
cool.
That's Spider-Man.
Dude,
I
that
understand the
thing's amazing.
Vampirella is worth way more. I would rather have that.
So
See, for me, it's the Jim Lee X-Men. That was like the second one. The
Oh, is there a Jim Lee
two-pager.
X-Men one?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
It's
Yeah,
the
the two-pager.
splash page right here.
That one is awesome.
Yeah,
That's
never
It's
mind.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like I
X-Men-
love
X-Men
I
that.
didn't realize
11.
that was in this.
Yeah. This one is a amazing page. I mean, like this, pretty iconic. I vividly remember this one, looking at it as a kid.
What a piece, bro.
Because I feel like that's like for our era, you know, like that type, like the Jim Lee stuff, the McFarlane stuff is just like peak. And like I really like for me, like I actually like the Jim Lee art.
Swag, throw a
More.
225 in there.
And I think that's because I was much more into the Jim Lee stuff when I was a kid than I was into like Spawn or anything like that.
I mean, like, it's gonna go for more than that.
You're safe then. Just defensive bid the thing. What's the problem?
Yeah, don't get canceled.
There's no way I'm not even like, even though I'm fairly confident what I'm not throwing in any type of bid like
That's
that.
the way.
There's no way.
I joke, guys.
Because every once in a while something happens where like no bid, more bids come in, and then you're just like, oh
gosh.
I think if
I
you
was
won that
about
for 225K, you probably there would be a minute where you'd be like, "What have I done?" And then you probably be like, "Okay,
Well,
I actually got a steal on that."
Kilkid says no.
But it's all about like,
They're
do you
payment
have the
option.
funds available, or can you put together enough books to like, or stuff to give to
Well, you're
Heritage
not
to
poor,
cover
so
it?
you should. This
Listen,
shouldn't be a problem for you.
When you're not poor and you're sitting on tons of copies of Dork, I absolutely have the money to buy the Jim Lee piece.
Oh,
Yo, but Heritage does offer like a 6-month payment plan. You just have to call them on it. They make the arrangements. There's like they charge a small amount of interest on it, and there's a deposit up front. I think it was 20%. I don't remember. But I think they offer like 6 months payments.
So you
I
have
think
plenty of time to offload all your absolute ones to pay for it.
Yeah.
Or you can consign with them. Like, what if I just gave them all of my Darkhawk ones? You know,
That'd cover it, bro. You're super good. You could pick up the McFarlane and
I
the
can
You
give them
have
like
at least like a short box of them.
Manu will pay for it
Yeah.
for you after his Malibu sells.
You know what? Let's hope.
Yeah. Well, some pretty incredible art, you know, with OAX. And then there's also a lot of, you know, comic books, of course, that are going up for sale. The most notable ones being this Detective 27 that we talked about in a prior show that currently now sits at 1.5 million, which I believe was the previous price that this sold at. Is that correct?
I don't remember. I don't remember. It was like 1.5 or 1.8 somewhere in that
so
in that range.
We're somewhere within the previous sale. We think that it might go to 3 or 4 million. But to me, the big story is I feel like this is going to be a big what do we call it, pace car or test case of what this year could look like. I mean, this auction is absolutely stacked. Like there's so many huge keys in this. I mean, we're obviously showing the most expensive stuff, but even your like mid-range, there's like tons of great, you know, 4-figure books. There's tons of great 5-figure books. And then the art is also stacked as well. And there's another Comic Link auction that's going on right now that has a ton of great monster comics and stuff. So you just wonder, it's like, there's a lot of great stuff going up for sale. Is the high end going to show up? Like, is the high end ready? There's a lot of competing items. So I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on any of the books in here? I mean, I know one person on the panel has one thought about a certain book that we might talk about, but
I mean, I'm honestly, one of the biggest surprises to me is where that Action Comics 1 is at already. The green label, the fourth one over, like it is, because really what that is a 0.5, because I think it has a married centerfold or something. So it's a 0.5, but it's a 2 green, you know, a 2.0 green label. I'm pretty sure it's just like a married centerfold. So we had that other 0.5 that was missing the back cover. And it was definitely,
copy.
Yeah, it looked way worse than this one, but that sold for like just over 400,000. This one is already above that. And so I had said, when I talked about this one before, I would be I think it would be an exceptionally strong sale if it broke 500,000, and it's already like at 415. You know, like that is because like when you start looking at it, you look at what is that versus like a complete copy, you know, and so I'm pretty surprised by that one. That book alone stands out to me the most out of probably all of them.
This one to me is the interesting one, the 6.5 Superman, because of the fact that we had the $9 million sale for the Superman. And then we had like, I think the prior sale for this was around what it sits at right now, 500,000. And then if you're kind of like doing the math, like, yeah, maybe it could get to like 8 or 9, like maybe it gets to 1 million because a 7.0 is like 1,200,000 or whatever. The point I'm saying is that this to me is like a good kind of pace car of like, oh, how much more of a premium are people willing to pay to get their hands on, the Superman copy right now in the wake of some of the prior sales.
But like they're really like
But,
it's a lot of like the best copies we've seen of things in a while. I mean, there's some. I mean, I always think it's kind of funny how many times that All-Star 8 has traded hands over just a few years. But
yo, what's an ASM 59.8 go for? Love that book.
Well, the last sale I think was around like 90 or 95 or something.
What an awesome book.
But yeah, that one's always the question of like all the other grades have dropped, since that sale. So what's that one actually going to do? And yeah, it'll be tough to know for sure where that one's going to go. But yeah, it's just like this auction it really is stacked.
It's definitely stacked. There's a lot of top of census books, including top of census for this book right here, the Malibu Sun PSA 10, currently sitting at $12,000. What do you guys think about this one right here?
What do you guys think, guys?
It depends how like we didn't get an agreement from Manu yet about how much he was going to pay us to talk about this.
It's TBD. It depends on where it goes.
Everyone in the chat, do we think that Manu should go full Ken Goldin right now on this book? Like, should we give Manu the space to go Ken Goldin here?
I can't.
Yell at people for stop. Don't be poor.
Yeah,
bid
on. I'm gonna get eaten alive in the comment section for pumping something that I love. But like, bro, like I don't know what it's gonna do. I want it to be the most expensive Spawn book ever sold. Like that's what I want to be able to say, and it's got a ways to go because I know of some, some sales on Heritage for some of the Spawn books. I've sold Spawn books for more than the price that this currently sits at, and but I wanted to just do so much more than this, and I wanted to set that record, but I can't Ken Goldin it, right? I don't know how to do that and how to reach those people and say those things, but I just want to see that happen. Like truly, I mean it. It is the nicest copy of this book ever. It is what a lot of people consider the first Spawn. It is the cover of Spawn 1 before Spawn 1. Spawn is written in the way that it didn't ultimately get published on Spawn 1. It's a book that didn't survive in high grade. Most of them have rusty staples, and this is a beautiful, beautiful example. It is, in my opinion, worth way more than what it's at right now, but we're all going to see together. And I want to be able to say it's the most expensive Spawn book ever sold, and I hope that's what happens. And
what is currently the most expensive Spawn
that's
book?
What I wanted to is it the Black Ink variant? Like, is that the most expensive?
Oh no. There's this I forget the issue number, but there's this black and white sketch cover in like the 160 something number range that even in a 9.6 has sold for 16,000 before, and in a 9.8 has sold for more than that. The error copy of the Malibu Sun 13 in a 9.8 signed on Heritage has sold for 21,000. The blue label of the error copy has sold for 14.4 on Heritage. And again, there are 6 9.8s of the error copy. I sold an error copy for 14 and change privately, right? And so there's only one of these, and there's only going to be one of these. Like, I can't say that with certainty, but I believe that with a great deal of confidence. And I'm willing to put some money on that too. And someone could come and collect if I'm wrong, but we have to make an arrangement for that, and we'll do it. We'll put it on paper. But so I think this should outperform all of those books, and I hope that it does. I think there are some other Spawn books that have sold in like the 25K range, these super rare variants in a 9.8. There's these cult collectors, this audience of affluent Spawn obsessed collectors that pay those kinds of prices when those books pop up, because they never pop up. And so I want to outperform those just for the sake of doing it. And there's a possibility that it does. I would assume, and I hope that on the there's 4 days left, but on that last day, hopefully it gets cooking, right? And one of the things that I've been an observer of is this seems to be like on the last episode, we got to like 5,700, and now it's kind of twice that, but it seems to be growing. No, it actually did leap. No, it seems to be moving. No, it did leap a little, but then it started to leap by an increment, which makes me think, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this because I don't really know, but it makes me feel like there's a high bid in here. And I don't know what that is, right? Because if it's just, is someone actually just going 9,000, 9,500, 10,000, or is that like what that, or I guess maybe that doesn't mean there's a high
You
bid.
can put it. You can put in a secret max bid, and it just like auto will
And
beat
auto increase
somebody
the
else
next
who
one.
bids
Yeah,
in.
like is
Yeah.
some, yeah. So, and guys, if anyone out there has the money to have some fun, go have some fun, make it the most
Asking someone
expensive
to
spawn book ever.
defensive bid your book.
I'm asking for the
We need
book
to
to
go.
sell. I just want the
We need
book
to
to
go
sell
full.
well.
We need to go full market manipulation. Okay, listen. This is what I learned from Logan Paul. Okay,
Fee, I can't bid on my
you
own
can
book. No,
buy
I
this
won't bid
book.
on my own book.
You can buy this book for $12,000. But if you bought this book for $1 million, you could be a legend,
Yeah.
an absolute legend.
You
Number one Spawn comic in the world.
I will tattoo
Anyways, that was my
your
one question.
name.
So
on
my
you.
question is this: was that market manipulation? was that market manipulation? What I just did?
Are you
No,
gonna
man.
crash out after the day after the sell?
This is me talking about something I'm selling, which obviously I'm going to do. And even prior to me having put it up for sale, I loved it and I talked about it to endlessly. I'm going to talk about it after I don't own it anymore. I love this stuff. Of course I'm going to talk about it. Anyone that says Manu's pumping up his own, what the fuck do you think I'm going to do? I love it whether I'm selling it or not. That's insane. But in order to connect with the buyer or make the impression of what it is and what I believe it to be, you have to talk about it. A lot of people don't have the knowledge of a Malibu Sun 13, but the fact that a 9.8 has like, I don't know, 80, 110 copies on the census, it's a $3,300, $3,500 book. There's already value there. And this being the only one in a not there's no 9.9s, there's no 10s. And with the multiples that the 9.9s do, this has the potential of replicating such a multiple. And I want to make sure people are aware of that. The error copy sells for more than this. There's 6 of those. There are just other Spawn variants that are more recent that sell for more than what this is at. And there's more of them than this. And so you have to educate the audience. They might not be aware. This has the chance of being the rarest and most expensive Spawn book. And selfishly, I want to be able to say, I did that. That happened. And that's not just about the money. That's
Reef
like,
has a good point.
Yeah.
You
What'd he
should reach
say?
out to Jake Paul, or no, it'd be Logan Paul, because he has 16.5 million to spend.
That's true.
So-
he may want to buy into
Plenty
next
of money,
collectible.
too.
Well, here's actually, to everything that you're saying,
Yeah.
bonus broader topic for
Yeah.
Rob and Ryan, because I feel like this is kind of like the theme of even going back to the Goldin stuff. Serious question, like what is the line of like sales, selling a book and pumping something up, and like marketing your copy? Like,
I don't see any
like you
problem with I see no problem with marketing your own. Like it's your
yeah, I
it's
don't
your thing you're selling.
What are you supposed to? I don't
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, like I don't get it.
I don't
Like,
As long as you're
think
not
there is
like-
either.
As
I
long as
think-
you're not like false representing something, like
Yeah.
no.
if someone just fact checked all the stuff Banu said and like one of it was like, oh, like blatantly not true, like you shouldn't do stuff like that.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I've been selling Malibu Sun 13s in 9.8s and raw for 5 years. I've said it so
What
many times.
What do you make of when people say like, they're like, yes, listen, guys, I know there's a bunch of ASM 300s, but look at my copy. Like, look at the orange on my copy, the gloss of this cover.
I think that's
How do you feel about
valid.
so everything that you said is like objectively true. Here's the
okay.
census, here's the numbers, blah, blah, blah. Then when you get to like a place where it's like, oh, subjectively, oh, look at my card, look at my alignment, look at the the corners, look at the corners on my, like, how do you feel about that type of sale?
I think that's fine.
I
I
think it's
mean,
fine.
like that's the buy the book, not the grade stuff, right? And
Yeah.
we always know like people buy the grade, which is great for a PSA 10 because that grade is higher. But like buying the book, like to me, like that side of it really applies. Like if you're talking about an ASM 300, like when you've got a book that is super common, why not try to get the one that stands out a little bit more? The one that's a little deeper red, the one that doesn't have the chipping, like whatever it is, like the little things that can make your copy just a little nicer that, than the other ones that are out there.
It kind of exactly, and it kind of goes into even when we were having the signature conversations. The look of the signature can affect how much it sells for, or how much you might ask for it. I mean, eye appeal, whether it goes against the actual grade on the label or not, is a real thing. The well-centered copy, the Iron Man books, the first Iron Man. We talk about, you know, the table or the quotation marks, right? The ones that have both of the quotation marks sell for more. ASM 300 is commonly a book that is not centered perfectly. The yellow banner at the top is sometimes too close to the top. And, you know, and since the 300 is well lined on the side, you can see if there's too much black or if the black is shifted, you know, so, and the brightness of the reds, that's all super valid. And if someone wants to ask 2,700 versus 2,400 because of the eye appeal, I think that's accurate, reasonable, and how the market functions to begin with. It's one of the reasons that I'm not a big fan of like vaulting stuff where you, anyway, I won't go down that lane. Like, I don't think of it as a commodity. All books, even if they're graded the same, are not equal. So I do look at them on an individual level.
I have a question. What, Manu, what is your plan for like your day as this thing winds down?
Just
Besides
to be a nervous wreck,
burn.
bro. Like, I don't have a plan. Even if I had a plan,
Are
my
you doing a
plan would
live
be
stream?
No,
are you
man,
going
I
live?
can't.
Are you going to go to the coffee shop? Are you going to go for a walk? Are you going to like unplug from the internet? Or are you going to be like this?
I'm gonna be on my sofa with the coffee, and because I'm a very anxious person, so I'm just gonna be very anxious. It's just like, I don't even know, bro. Like, it's fun for me, but bro, I'd be stressing because like I want the thing to, you know, like I'm trying not to, but it's like, come on, where's the rich people? Just bid, dang it, just do it, you know. And it's just like, it's just amusing to me, but it's also very stressful and very anxious because it's gonna do whatever it's gonna do. But I will say, I'm already grateful. Like, I'm already grateful. I want it to just be amazing. That's all.
I'll say that I might do a live stream of it. Perhaps Manu, you're gonna have to come on the live stream. You know,
if you do
it's
a
gonna go
live
on
stream, I'm
Thursday.
not gonna say no, but like I'm gonna be very reserved on it. I'm just gonna be like, oh, guys, gosh, please, something great happened. So I just don't.
We
look
we
like
could
a
see a
complete
crash
idiot.
out. That would be.
Yeah,
That's what I want. I want to see. We need the raw and unfiltered version.
Damn you,
We need
pores!
the real human
It
reaction.
actually goes down.
Oh gosh, dude. Yeah, no, just yeah. I mean, if you do a live stream and I'll be there. I'm just gonna be very reserved. I can't. I'm gonna try to be
I don't know
very
Heritage
positive.
super well. Will this be like one that's like the guy's like actually has it next to him and is like talking
Yeah,
about it? Like
yeah.
when it winds down? Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
wasn't
gonna
sure how they
have
would like manage their lots or where this one was at.
yeah, it's gonna have the live
framework.
auctioneer. There's gonna be the gavel, I think, or the hammer, you know. It's gonna
There's
have that.
there's no gavel.
Okay, there's not. Sorry,
That's
guys.
boring.
Manu
I'll
has
do the
never
gaveling,
watched.
guys. I'll be live with
I
swag.
bet you their stuff would sell for 3% more if they had a guy slamming a gavel. You should pass that feedback along.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
I'm gonna
or a
be honest,
gong. Ken
if
had
I
a
ever-
gong.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
I want a
point
gavel.
proven.
I want a gavel if I sell something. I want to hear that thing. You know,
Yeah.
clack on the table.
But also, I want to say this because our friends have been super supportive and people have been super enthusiastic about the book. I thank you guys for all of that. I love all this stuff, man. It's the first time I ever sent anything to auction. You know, and in the next couple of days, you know, on my Instagram, I'm probably going to talk about the book a little bit more. I'm supposed to. I want to connect with the potential buyers. I don't know who's waiting for the final seconds to throw bids in, but I hope they're out there and I hope they, you know, fight with each other about it because I want to be I want it to go well. And then, like I said, I want to do some great giveaways as a result, but it has to do super well for me to give super great giveaways away. And that's what I want to be able to do.
Well, everyone in the chat gave you full permission to be a big pumper.
I appreciate it, guys.
Just so you know, you are allowed to big pump. But speaking of big pump, you know, and Goldin auctions, guys, we are 7 minutes away from the close of the Honus Wagner PSA 1 that currently is sitting at $5 million.
That's crazy. That's wild.
Absolute insane number. The story of this one is that this is a freshly graded Honus Wagner. I think that there was an episode of King Collectibles. So we're going to actually, you know, watch this thing count down with 6 minutes left as we kind of wait for it. You know, there's kind of interesting because the Heritage has another
in the next 7 minutes.
How does that one work? Do they do like, because I don't
It has
watch
extended
Golden auctions. They have extended bidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
Yeah.
no that thing will be
30-minute
still going at like
extended
1 a.m.
Yeah, we'll see if we get lucky to see it close. So, Rob, you think that 5 million is not this going to go way higher than 5?
I don't know about way higher, but I would be shocked if that is the number that it ends at.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think they have a 30-minute reset. You know, we also have this other Honus Wagner that's on the Heritage auction. So this is 7 days from now. I forgot what we decided what the A meant. It means authentic.
I think it's
but
authentic,
does that mean,
right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
but it's not. It doesn't have a grade.
No.
Yeah.
It probably means it was they interpret some manipulation, or maybe it was stored in something where they get like I know there's certain things where if the card is stored a certain way, they don't grade them, and
There are gonna be a million different reasons why it's authentic. They also could have chose to have it graded authentic, but
Yeah.
actually, there's another crazy one there. That Michael Jordan card is gonna go for crazy money. That's his first ever 1/1.
Bro, that's such a cool
Yeah.
card.
So this was crazy because this Honus Wagner sitting at 1.9. They have an estimate at 3 million with 7 days left. So, you know, obviously the PSA 1, I guess, is a better condition version than this card. It's kind of interesting to see where that Wagner market is shaping out to be. And yeah, like the Jordan card here and then the Mantle, 625 and 750 respectively. So these are kind of interesting to keep our eye on, see what they sell for.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Jordan's going to go way, way higher than that number.
Is this the Holy Grail Jordan card then?
I don't know the Jordan market that well on the high end, so I don't want to talk out of turn, but it is on the short list for sure, if not the number one.
I was never even aware of this card. Not that I know every Jordan card, but I had never seen this or became aware of it until this auction listing. I did not know anything about this. I think it's cool for me to even like be learning about.
PSA 8 though, so it's worthless.
Definitely going to get a pretty penny.
Totally worthless.
Like his green PMG would maybe outsell that one because it's a PMG. I don't remember the last time one of those sold publicly or what it went for.
Yeah, pretty crazy. 4 minutes left, guys. Predictions,
this?
thoughts?
It's
I'm
happening right
stalling.
now.
Yeah,
I don't
Well,
even
no,
I
you
don't
don't
even know
sell.
the market for that card, so I can't even.
It could easily go
guess.
extended. I made the mistake one time of having the brilliant idea to live stream a Goldin auction because
And it just kept going.
And then
Yeah,
the live stream
right.
ended up being like 5 hours long because of the extended bidding. And
That's
I was
like-
oh.
That's like the
3 hours
Comic
in, I'm
Connect
like,
auctions
this
we
takes
used to
for me.
do. Oh my god.
It was during COVID,
Yeah.
so I didn't have anything else to do with my life. But
Ryan and I did a Comic Connect auction where I think we went for like 5.5 or 6 hours for that reason. You know, the extended bidding just kept dragging it.
I could like barely stand when that ended, getting out of my chair. Like I just have this like dining room chair like that I sit in here because it fits in this space, and it's like it is not comfortable, and sitting in that thing for that many hours was brutal. It was brutal. So yeah, no, that's why that's one thing that's nice about Comic Link is they're just done. And even with Heritage, like you don't move on to the next one until that item is done. So they still have a pretty controlled time. But yeah, man, like Comic Connect and it's like Goldin, like those extended ones, they're brutal.
Yeah.
You know, I do want to no, sorry, skip.
All right, skip it.
Cut.
you realize we're live, right?
Here's the journey of the Shields Wagner. 117 years in the making. In 1909, a young Morton Bernstein pulls a Honus Wagner from a sweet Caporal cigarette pack. That same year, Honus Wagner asked the American Tobacco Company to withdraw his card from production because he objected to his image being used to promote tobacco to children. Morton keeps his cards and frames them on the walls of his office, protecting them for decades. The collection passes to Morton's grandchildren, stored safely in a family warehouse. 117 years later, still in the same family, the Wagner remains untouched, a true time capsule. In 2025, Ken Goldin drops everything and travels immediately to secure the Shields Wagner during filming of season 3 of King of Collectibles on Netflix. The family chooses Goldin to tell their grandfather's story and introduce the card to the world. Honus Wagner is the benchmark of the hobby. Approximately 50 copies known, a global symbol of rarity. And now this legendary card be at auction. Did it sell with 1 minute left? There's a story. So I don't know, pretty crazy. I guess, it's interesting that there's still finds out there. Here we are.
Do they
100
have there
years
what the
into
highest
collectibles.
graded one is? Like, what's the highest graded Honus Wagner? Is it like
I
a
don't remember
4 or
off
something?
the top of my head. I'm too
Maybe
poor to
someone
care
in
about
chat will be able to kind of mention. Let's see.
Yeah, I didn't know if they had
A lot of-
anything similar to like what Heritage has with like some type of census connection or
let's
anything
go.
like that. But
Let's go to Heritage here.
oh no, but see that's an SGC though. That's
PSA 8 is the
Oh.
highest grade,
PSA 8.
Okay.
according to chat anyway.
Well, does anyone want to get any bids in? You got 50 seconds left. This
I
would make this
could never afford that.
Is this the card that we talked about a few weeks ago? That 4 months
I'm
ago,
too poor.
that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the same card. Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
that's
you're
freaking
poor
cool.
and you're mad. If you're not willing to spend $5 million on a Wagner, I mean, what are you even doing with your life?
Exactly. Yeah, I am too poor for that one. Sorry.
Looks like this one's actually going to close.
We established.
What's the countdown right now?
Rich enough to bid on.
Wait, you know what's really funny? 20 seconds here, guys. 20 seconds. We're at 15. The suspense is palpable. Is
This is
anyone in the chat going to bid? We're at 5 seconds left.
The underbidder should bid on the Malibu.
Huh? Yeah, take away.
You gotta actually get 4 extra million to spare.
Yeah, exactly.
The seller of this guy. Well, there it is, guys. Live on the Ungraded Truth. The final sale, $5 million.
We actually don't know that yet.
Well, but it
don't
does
know
say
that yet.
extended bidding will start in the next 10 seconds. I don't even.
My God.
Oh, what?
Why would they do that?
Yeah. So and then it says that's going to last for 30. I'm guessing
False
you can
advertising.
like is the
Oh, it
extended
is still
bidding
got
the
30
ones where it's
minutes
like
to
you can only bid an extended if you've
Yeah,
bid?
I think that was the actual regular auction ending. This is the first extended period.
Yeah, because
So-
I've
so
bid on
anyone
stuff from
who has
Heritage
bid-
before where they used to have that with like posters where like if you wanted to, every item had extended bidding and you could only participate in the extended bidding if you had bid on the item in the primary time period.
Ryan,
And
is that
so-
how Heritage works? Like when it goes live?
No, that most of them don't, but I think their posters has now gone to like what their traditional is for like comics and stuff, but their poster auctions used to do that. And so I have some like movie posters and stuff that I've bought that I had to do that extended bidding stuff.
Yeah, Fanatics Collect used to be like that, and then they switched it.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to report back and see when that card actually sells and what it actually goes for. But until then, we have to talk about other collectibles selling like crazy, causing massive lines out there across the states. Gentlemen, we talked about the One Piece heroine set when it was about to drop. We knew that this thing was going to go crazy. But what I don't think that we did know is that it was going to cause people to wait in ridiculous lines since 2 a.m. to be able to get these packs at stores. Like, look at this. This is crazy. You know?
Like, I don't even understand those lines because like we were talking about this before. Like, I don't like how much supply do they have? Like, there's no way they have supply for that many people in that line.
Right? I mean, what's interesting to me, and I'll try to get this video here to work. But what's crazy to me about, all this stuff is like, are they going to have the supply? And are these stores actually going to be selling them at retail? Because couldn't you just go onto eBay and buy, a pack right now or a box right now? Or like, are the stores even going to not be marking it up?
Bandai store, they have to sell at MSRP on release, I believe.
Is a box really only going for $350? That feels like cheap.
Wow, that's triple what they normally. Usually these are like $120 boxes.
It still feels cheap.
Well, but here's what's crazy to me about that. And again, I guess I'm just, making fun of the poorers again. But to me, I'm like, dude, is it really worth it to like get in that type of line? Like, and I don't know what the allotments are, but let's say the allotment is like, oh, okay, you can buy one box. Like you're going to wait in line for 2 a.m. to be able to make $100 flip. for a box.
I mean,
like
we had
crazy.
people fist fighting in Costco's to make like $50. So it's like, I mean, it's not. I feel like it's you can believe that people would wait in a line to save like $150.
Swag. The $100 profit gets you a dork, and then that turns into a $1,000 9.8. So
That's true. Well, it's funny that you say that because leapfrogging is the game, within collectibles. So
I think what I found, because I agree with you, Swag, there's much better things I would rather do with my time than wait in line all night for a box of cards. But I think for a lot of people, because I've seen like comments on this, when you kind of press them on it, I think for them, it's just more about the hanging out with people in the line for the night than it is actually like saving the $100 or whatever. Like, I think there is, as weird as it sounds, like there's like an experience aspect of this, like I remember when I was in college working at Best Buy, and me and all my friends, after we closed the store, went and got in the line for a PlayStation 2. And it was just like me and all my friends hanging outside of Best Buy in the middle of the night for a PlayStation 2. It was more about that than it was actually getting the PlayStation 2 almost. So I think there is some of that to this to a degree. I also think there's just some crazy people that do
the question is, was being outside enough to make that line not smell terrible? Because if anybody that's been to those shows, that, like, oh man, that could be brutal. So
Best Buy doesn't cater to the pores. We had well showered people in our line.
Yeah. I will say, I do understand that, Rob. I do think that that's a fair point. I definitely waited in lines for video game drops and releases when I was younger, and I think that makes sense to me. I guess I'm looking at it in the cynical lens.
I think we're just
is this just a bunch of flippers? Well, it's, yes, we're old, but also I'm just thinking like, oh, all these people are just trying to flip it, and that's just me being cynical. But you're right. It could just be genuine fans of One Piece who are just finding this as the gathering event.
I think that, I mean, I bet the line is a mix, but it's like, what do you think? What do you think the mix is? I think it's like 80% flippers, like 80-20. That's what I think.
I don't know.
I'm going to interrupt with something vague, super vague, guys, but like super vague. But I just want to say, you guys ever read a comment either in the comment section or in the chat, and you just know that on some Ken shit, I apologize, but someone's just an asshole, a hater. You just know they're a loser. Like, you ever just read a comment and say, because
now I gotta search through the comments section.
No, because what I'm saying is being a loser is a mentality. Right.
Oh,
I like to say losing is part of winning. Acting like a loser is not. And most or all of we're winners around here. It's an optimism. It's a thing. It's an energy. It's a hopefulness, right? But when you're a loser, when you commit to being a loser and you put loser energy out there and people are doing their thing and then you just want to shit on it because you're a loser. You ever just read that and realize that this guy's a fucking loser?
Oh my God.
Vague.
I don't know what comment set you off.
Right now.
What a fucking loser some people can be.
Somewhere.
But I just say that as a vague generalization.
Dude, Ken Goldin, who obviously is watching right now, literally just sat up in his chair, was like, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get Ken to bid on the Malibu.
Listen. If you want to be a loser, I'm sorry that you made that decision. But you made that decision. And you're showing
be
your
a winner
loserness,
and buy
bro.
a Malibu Sun 13 and a PS.
Hey, Ryan said it. But like, yeah, hypothetically speaking, be less of a loser.
This is given the vibes of that. Oh my God, what was his name? The guy that sold cards back in like the 90s. It's like that sold those like boxes.
Oh, that's the best.
It's like, you want chicks, you'd be a winner.
Yeah.
You buy this.
You realize Ken Goldin was partially involved with that.
Oh,
right?
I know. I'm aware of that.
Real McCoy, thank you, my man. Shout out to you.
Oh,
Hope you're
God.
well.
Yeah,
So Manu, which comment was it? Like, are you just gonna directly call this person
No,
out?
another thing that we never do. Another thing that we never do is engage with losers, because then the loser rubs off, right? We don't do that.
Oh, God.
So this is generalization. It's a hypothetical.
Absolutely. Well, it's the thing. It's kind of what you were talking about, Ryan, at the beginning. We were talking about the Ken Goldin thing. It's like, dude, there's going to be people that say some messed up shit.
Chat,
So like, you just have to.
Your job is to find the comment.
Oh man,
Yes,
shout out to our
chat,
friends in
that's
chat.
on a
though,
mission
bro.
to find that comment.
I
Yeah,
love
shout out to
all
the
you
chat.
guys.
But you just gotta like listen. I would never ignore chat, but
No.
I ignore all the comments. That's the thing. It's like just on all the videos, like you just let people say what they're gonna say, and then you kind of realize, like you just put stuff out in the world, and people have their own opinions, and it's their own conversations, and you just don't worry about it. That's kind of been my approach, and it's definitely helped with my mental health with it all.
Yeah, I should take a note. I mean, next subject.
All right, next subject. Well, we're getting down to the end of the show, but I thought this would be interesting to kind of bring up real quick. The Pokemon Mania is still going strong, guys. Thieves smashed through a wall in California and stole $180,000 of Pokemon cards.
Wow.
Not cash, not jewelry, Pokemon cards. We've reached the point where Charizard is worth more than a bank heist. This is actually a shop down in Anaheim. This was like a pretty big story. I mean, like, how these stories are, guys. Like, occasionally you're going to get the
Charizards don't have ink packs,
stuff.
They're going to blow.
But I thought that this was, I thought that this was pretty crazy. Like, these guys came in and they they broke into another building and then smashed through the wall of an adjacent store to get into the Pokemon shop. So that was pretty hardcore. But I don't know, guys. Those Poke Streets, the Poke Streets are real.
No, I mean, like, there's actually been a few things that have been going on with that. Like, there are, I've seen a couple posts recently about different, like, Pokemon influencers or YouTubers, Instagrammers, that kind of stuff that used to have like really extensive, fancy backgrounds behind them of all their product and everything. And somebody broke into one of their houses and stole everything. And so, like, a lot of them are starting to change that, because, like, it's just like, I mean, you're showing, like, you have these people that will put like $500,000 in product behind them, and then it's like, it can be dangerous to do something like that. So yeah, like there's been some shift in that, on that side of things on the Pokemon side, because, like, I mean, we talked about, I don't remember if we talked about it, or if there was another video or what, but there was that, when there was that, the people that got robbed at gunpoint, that were doing like a live event, at their store. I think it was in New York. And then like three people came into the store, robbed them all at gunpoint, that kind of thing. And it's just like, Pokemon cards are so common, like, especially the more modern stuff, that you have these cards that are, there's tens of thousands of them in high grade, and they're worth $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And all you have to do is just, you get it, you take it out of the slab, and it's untraceable, like completely untraceable. And so you could see how, like, that kind of, like, see why people would do this. Like, it can be scary with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Definitely a reminder, cards are highly stealable, I guess is the word.
As Swags has tens of thousands of dollars of books displayed behind him.
That is all green screen and
Swag. It's all fake.
Yeah,
it's all fake. Yeah, it's not real.
And I've sold everything, so
speaking of last topic of the show, before we round it out, before we do our giveaway here, speaking of not being a loser, Ryan, can you explain to me this graphic?
I was wondering if, I didn't know if I showed this on my video today, so I did actually get it out there before this, but yes, this is my tracking of Absolute Batman and the price versus the census. Not to, like, not taking my victory lap yet, but we will revisit this at the end of the year. But, like, no, like, I've actually said, like, I think that this, I really like this chart. I'm not about, like, the price dropping. I really like this chart because it perfectly shows an example of when you have prices spike on something and there is not the demand there to meet that, or the volume of books or whatever isn't there to meet the demand. And so you have this delayed increase in the census. And that delayed increase in census was about 2 months, which would be approximately the time for you to get books sent into CGC, get them graded and back and put them up for sale. And so you had the prices start to spike in early October. The census started to climb in kind of late December, early January. And then like almost like 1-to-1, like perfectly lined up. The instant the census started climbing, the prices started dropping. And so it's like, it's just, I think it just is a perfect like example, perfect use case, whatever, for when you have this type of event happen where something spikes and there is a lot of volume available. What happens? Like people are going to send them in. They're going to get them graded and they're going to sell them because it's easy money. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Like if the census ends up leveling off at some point, or, you know, like where the price ends up leveling off. But yeah, no, we'll have to, maybe I'll have to add Dork 1 once we start. I don't know if any 9/8s have come back yet for that book, since it's so new. Like if anybody like did like a unlimited tier or something to get one right back, but yeah, we'll have to start tracking Dork.
I will say,
overlay the Dork chart over the absolute.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
And Ryan, we're gonna have a bet, so we should. And Kilted says it's gonna go to 1K by Christmas. Absolute Batman. But speaking of like things happening fast, maybe not getting 9/8s back yet. But I was telling Swag earlier today, people already got like the third-party variants on the market. There's one called Wart, and it's like a spoof cover on Dork. It's already on the market. What the fuck? How did they do that so fast? Crazy.
it's crazy. Well, I definitely love this chart. I think it's hilarious to look at. It's a good reminder. It's something that just intuitively everyone can understand. Like if people are incentivized to send in books because things are selling for, you know, high prices, then you can expect like an increase in the census. And what does that do to the demand? You know, or can the demand meet that increased supply? So
Right.
basic 101, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes from here. Eventually it's going to find an equilibrium, right? Because maybe there'll be a breaking point where people like are no longer interested in sending books in for Absolute Batman. So we'll have to see. But you know, I'm not saying that I'm rooting for anything here, but being that we might have a Dork versus Absolute Batman here on the Ungraded Truth, I'm saying keep sending in those books, guys. Keep sending in those books.
Are you going to make the Dork chart, Ryan? Are you committing to that as well, or no?
I'll track those.
Okay.
I mean, I
want
feel like
Ryan
that
to make the Dork
I
chart.
can't imagine. I mean, obviously, like if the print run's only like 20,000, it's definitely going to be a lot.
Ryan, let's just do it live. Let's do it now. Let's pick a date and let's pick. I guess we could simply say what's going to be the most.
I think it's got to be the end of the year. Like it's got to be our year-end recap.
Okay.
I think
End of the year, I would bet. Just like listen. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Whatever. I mean, it's going to cost me a little bit of money. Not a big, you know. If I'm going to bet that Dork is going to be the more expensive. I love Absolute Batman. Don't get it.
So you're saying Dork 1 cover A
9/8
is
more
going to be selling
expensive
for more than an Absolute Batman 1 cover A and a 9/8 at the end of the year.
That's such a long time. That's enough time for it to do this, though.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole point of this.
Because that's enough time for Batman to do
You're
this and then do this again.
Now you're second guessing yourself.
Fucking A. Listen, I'll take the bet just for
believe
fun.
in it.
No, I'll take the bet just for fun.
5%
Dork,
of the Malibu Sun sale.
don't stop it. Dork higher. What's our bet, Ryan? Like how much you want to put on the line here? Dollar amount.
I'll bet $100.
$100 done. In it. Let's
right.
go.
Right, a
Deal.
sticky note
Hey.
with the clip.
I love
Swag. You'll need this for the end of the year show.
it. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, while these guys, marinate on their bet, we do have to do our giveaway before we totally wrap up. Remember, shout out to Dynamite Entertainment, who sent me a bunch of these cool variants. Actually, what I'm going to do really quick is just show you guys. We got a Sheena right here, a little risque cover. We got a Red Sonia.
Don't get us
Cool
demonetized.
variants. Yeah. We're not going to talk about what we actually see. Hopefully Google does not have the detecting capability. We have a Victory cover right here. We got a Deja Throis, or whatever you call it. And then my favorite one, which is this one right here. This is a Vampirella. That looks cool, right? So you got a bunch of cool books, 5 books here.
Damn,
it's a good thing that
giveaway. Nice.
It's a good thing I got that super chat so I can, pay you USPS to send it to everybody.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do, guys. I'm just going to pick 5 winners. So what I'd like to do is, let me see if I do this correctly. Dynamite, right? If I just do that, hashtag Dynamite. So any user who comments this includes Okay. So all you guys got to do, if you're in the chat, is type dynamite like that. Just type dynamite.
Swag.
And I'm going to pick
Okay.
5 people.
Why this is running, I know we talked about it pre-show, but we didn't talk about it here. I did also interview the general manager of Beckett the same week as PSA.
Yeah, let's talk about that while we kind of gather our prize winners here.
So I did ask the question to Colin what the future plans were for CBCS in that interview. And to be fair to him, he said that he has basically not dove into the CBCS side of the business. He's only been in the role for about 2 months. And then he asked me what I would do with them. So take that for what you will on the future of CBCS.
He said, what would you do?
Yeah. Well, what would you do if you were
I mean,
in
you could go watch the video. I said, that there might be something there with the manga business, but really it should probably just be rolled into PSA Comics.
Yeah. What would you guys do, Ryan and Manu, if you were in the driver's seat?
I would close the
I'd
doors
roll
and
it
roll them
into
into
PSA.
PSA Comics.
I'd roll it
More
into
staff,
PSA.
bigger facility, double down on the real bet that you were making. And the writing was on the wall. That's what I think.
Because we talked about it before, like CBCS, unlike the cards with the black label, CBCS with comics doesn't have a differentiator.
Yeah.
Manga,
And so
that's it.
I think that's the main thing.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're talking
All right.
CBCS, right? We're not talking Beckett cards. We're specifically
Correct.
talking
CBCS specifically.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, we got a bunch of entrants. We're going to stop it right there. I'm going to hit draw a bunch of times. And if you're a winner, get in touch with me. You can send me an email, swagglehouse@gmail.com. I think the link is in the description, or at least in my YouTube, or send me a DM on Instagram. Just get in touch and I'll send you this book. But let's see if we can find some winners. So here we go. Draw number 1 going to go to
Yeah.
man, Eggplant, a regular
836.
commenter.
There we go.
Congrats,
Yeah,
my man.
Eggplant.
That's dope.
Congrats to you, sir. By the way, I'm just going to randomly draw
real
as far as like
book,
which
yeah.
books you get. Okay. Like, I got 5 of them here. So, we'll just do it. Here we go. Draw again. Winner number 2
Oh,
is
there's
going
5
to
winners.
be-
I'm tripping.
Just have whoever reaches out to you first gets the pick. They get like first pick, whoever nails.
All
So you have to get
J
their address.
Power. Nice.
Yeah, we can do
Nice,
something like that. We got J Power 26. I'm writing
Plus,
this
I don't
stuff
have to
down
deal with this,
because-
so I can make it as difficult on you as humanly possible.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Let's promise all of them the world, and have
And
me
swag
deal
will
with it.
deliver.
Yeah. All right. Number 3 here is going to be
Good luck, number 3.
That was much shorter.
Yeah, what's happening with
Oh,
this
yeah.
thing?
Felt manipulated.
Paul, congrats.
Santos. There we go.
Oh, this
Paul
thing is
Santos.
freaking out on us. Why is it all slow?
I
It's
feel like
lagging.
it's just it's having trouble. It's struggling.
It's definitely struggling here.
It's overworked.
Okay, we're back. We're back.
This one looks
We
more
got 2
legit.
more. We got 2 more. Here we go.
Oh,
Omar's 1772.
nice.
Congrats,
Congratulations.
How do you want these folks to contact you, Swag?
Oh, this one's going quick.
They should either send me email, swagglehouse@gmail.com.
Feed me
feed
has
me.
been fed. Congrats.
Nice.
Nice Witcher logo. It looks like a Witcher logo on the YouTube ID.
There you guys have it. Those are the 5 winners. Either send me an email, swagglehouse@gmail.com, or DM me on Instagram, swagglehouse_comics. And I will get you your books.
Or swing
Nick-
past his house.
Nick Barucci, thank you so much for such a kind giveaway. I'm happy to be a part of it. Also, you should probably have the rarest Spawn book in your collection. There's a Malibu Sun 13 at auction on Heritage. I think it would look great with you, and I will personally deliver it should you become the buyer. Thank you.
There you go. Well, gentlemen, everyone in the chat, thank you all so much for hanging out tonight. Again, if you guys are on anyone's YouTube channel, be sure to head over to the descriptions and find the other members here. If you're watching on my show, be sure to head over to Ryan's or Neo's and give them a sub, give them a like, maybe do the same for me. Hop over to Manu's Instagram. If you guys also would like to head on over to the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel, we definitely would like to kind of grow this thing. I mean, we're doing our co-streams, and you can also watch it over at that channel live every other Saturday at 5 p.m. But, we do share some clips on this channel from time to time, so it's kind of helps us out. But maybe more importantly, I'd love it if you guys hop over to our Spotify. Give us some more 5-star reviews. I want to get to 20. Can we get to 20? We're at 13. Hey, a little bit of a thing, the Spotify. I clip out the show. I take out all that air, take out all the dead time. Every time, we shill Manu's PSA 10, we take that out, and then we put it on the Spotify. So you're getting just the most pure version. You're getting the most pure version on the Spotify. It's really good for the listening.
Before we log out, I'm sure you've seen this, Swag, but someone is helping out with the shipping for the giveaway. That's very kind. I'm sure you've seen that.
I just saw this. Yes. MDRN Samurai with a $20. Great show, guys. Some help for the shipping for the winners. Much appreciated.
That's very cool. Thank
very,
you.
very kind of you.
And just to remind, and Nick says, reach out to me, 99, and I will, Nick. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll shoot you a DM. I think we're connected there. We are. I'll shoot you a DM. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. I want to say once again, shout out to cbbauctions.com for sponsoring tonight's stream. They also have their auction this Saturday. Head on over, check them out. Until then, guys, thanks so much for hanging out tonight, and we will see you all in the next show. Peace. Detective Comics set a record for 1.8 million. Nobody really cares.
Who are annoyed that people are asking them questions, is this book banned? That question didn't exist a year ago.
Somebody's submitting like 25 vintage books and getting 15 9.9s.
We always think, how can it ever get crazier? And then it always does.